For those who don't know, THORChain is a decentralized exchange that enables you to swap Bitcoin with thousands of other cryptocurrencies, all layer one native tokens. No bridges or wrap tokens are needed, and it's all from within your self-custodial wallet. There's no KYC on THORChain. KYC stands for kill your customer. We do not do that. It's permissionless. THORChain's token is called RUNE, and that is spelled RUNE. You don't need to buy or hold RUNE to place a swap on THORChain. However, these fees are deducted from your swap and they're used to buy RUNE. And this RUNE is the yield that goes to the nodes, essentially. There are no block rewards on THORChain. 100% of the yield is real, and THORChain is deflationary with 5% of all rewards that are swapped to RUNE, and that RUNE is burned. THORChain has another token called TCY, that's Tango Charlie Yankee. This token is kind of like a preferred swap. 10% of the protocol's revenue goes to these token holders. If you deposit crypto into savers or took out a loan on THORChain, make sure to claim your TCY token so you can start collecting this yield. And anyone can buy this asset as well. To swap on THORChain, you can go to swap.thorchain.org. And you can swap to many different assets, and we have new features and functionality being rolled out as we speak. Rujira is the app layer we are building, and it is going to be really cool. It's decentralized Binance, a THORChain smart contract layer. It's being rolled out as we speak. Every single DeFi primitive that you can imagine, and I'm super excited to actually talk about that with HoudiniSwap. Speaking of centralized exchanges, guys, if you hold RUNE on a centralized exchange, get it off there into self-custody. What are we doing? These tokens are being used to short sell RUNE and drive the price down. And once in self-custody, you should think about bonding your RUNE. And a really good interface to do that is runebond.com. Super easy. All you have to do is look up a node, request whitelist, and then you bond once approved. There is a THORChain community Discord and Telegram you can join to learn all about THORChain and make friends. To find the links, go to @Thor, THOR community, Thor community, all one word, on X. You guys, let's repost this space. We got HoudiniSwap in here. I am so excited to talk to them today. This is going to be a banger, particularly because of the topic that we have. I think Kenton's having some technical issues. No big deal. The show must go on. We will get him in here when we can. HoudiniSwap, how you doing? Would you like to give us an introduction of yourself?
Yeah, GM, man. Thanks so much for having us on. I really appreciate everything you guys have built at THORChain, and just speaking with the team. You guys are world class. So yeah, it's an honor and pleasure to be here. I'm in a particularly good mood. I'm Canadian, and our Toronto Blue Jays won Game One of the World Series last night. So I'm on a new level of high right now, which is incredible. But yeah, just quick TLDR for anybody who doesn't who's unfamiliar with HoudiniSwap. We are the leading cross-chain liquidity aggregator with a very unique set of privacy tools that we've been building for about over 3.5 years now. So kind of the uncles, the OGs in the space when it comes to anonymity. But excuse me. But basically, just built HoudiniSwap with a very, very clear goal in mind. We wanted to enable compliant private transactions for users. Excuse me, I'm just choking here. Um, Basically, the ability to send Bitcoin to ETH or Sol to Sol, virtually any asset on any chain to any asset on any chain, with this idea of sender and receiver anonymity. And if anybody can flash back, 3 years ago in crypto, I know it's every week there's something new, so it does feel like decades ago. But the only options that users had for privacy at the time were really, really twofold. One side of the spectrum was the on-chain messaging protocols like the Tornado Caches and the coin joins, like let's call it the mixers. We've all seen kind of the rise and fall of Tornado Cash, and what happens from a fully on-chain permissionless solution. North Korea can get a hold of that. So that was kind of one option for privacy. The other side of the spectrum was, very buttoned up with a centralized exchange experience where you have to fully KYC, and there's obviously issues around that. Feels like every week we see a new, data breach, or almost like IP address or ID honeypots, being leaked on the internet, which is obviously no good. And then, obviously all the things that come with centralized exchanges, right? Like limited token availability, like typically expensive fees and issues around that. So we built HoudiniSwap, which kind of fit in the middle. You know, we are obviously a no KYC offering. We do real time AML and ATF, you know, KYT, let's call it, right? So screening at the transactional level, at the wallet level, to make sure that, you know, North Korea criminals, or, you know, basically any sort of illicit activity cannot, you know, cannot pass through HoudiniSwap. Um, but what we do offer is end to end privacy, right? And I think, you know, as you know, crypto evolves, and as digital assets, you know, kind of become more and more mainstream, it's just so clear why privacy needs to exist, right? If you know, if you're storing assets in a hot wallet, and you know, one day you're able to pay for your Uber, you know, your Uber ride or whatever ride sharing app you're using, and you can pay for your trip home from the airport in crypto. You know, if the Uber driver is able to see on chain, you know, that Houdini swap, you know, is holding millions of dollars in a self custody wallet, and they drop you off at your home address right after you pay for that transaction. They can look into your wallet. You know, like, it's scary, right? They might show up the next day, you know, not as an Uber driver. Let's just put it that way. And so, yeah, our whole ethos is that, you know, if crypto was to scale and you know, truly become this global digital payment system, then privacy needs to exist. Rune, if you and I go out for dinner, and, you know, we rack up a pretty crazy tab, you know, the next morning I say, hey man, here's my wallet for your half of the bill. You know, as soon as I send you my wallet address, I just sacrifice my full financial privacy. You know, you get to see what's in that wallet, you get to see every other wallet that's contributed to that wallet. Becomes this full, like, you know, like web of financial privacy that I've now sacrificed to you, and you can see every asset I've ever held, every transaction I've ever placed, you know, basically how rich or poor I am, and it's just not cool. So we view Houdini Swap. You know, often we get associated with, you know, a mixer or a launderer, or, you know, like all this crap, and really that's just so far from who we are, not only as a business, but also just as people. You know, the core teams out of Canada, we kind of, you know, we have a very disciplined approach to how we built this business, and really just are trying to give, you know, we want to be recognized in the OPSEC category versus the sketchy, you know, criminal activity category. You know, we want to be mentioned with the VPNs of the world, the ledgers of the world, the cold storages, right? The Brave browsers, the VPNs, and then Houdini Swap, right? For all of your transactional needs. That's kind of the category that we're looking to be grouped into or bucketed into, versus you know, privacy being analogous to, oh, you have something to hide, you must be, you know, dealing drugs, or you must be, you know, like terrorist financing. It's just so not true. You know, in Web 2, everybody, you know, whether I know your name, your address, your wife's name, your kids' names, you know, I obviously can't get access to your bank account. So why would that exist in Web 3? And that's what we're trying to solve. And we've solved that, which is phenomenal. And really, we're, you know, like, fast forward to today, we're doing about 40 to 50 million in volume per week, and it's been just truly this real success story, of privacy, amongst other things too. We're not fully, like, in your face privacy. We're not a cult around privacy. We're just trying to give people the tools to be safe, and you know, and keep their assets hidden, which is your fundamental right. It's your choice, your freedom. That's crypto's promise, and we're just trying to amplify that to the masses.
You guys, I told you this is going to be a banger space. It's 100% everything Houdini Swap just said. That is 100% also what we believe. I have a lot of interesting context to add that. But first, I have to say, I have a lot of family members in California, and they were devastated when the Dodgers lost last night. But you know what? I hope you drink their tears, because you Canadians deserve a win. So I'm hoping you guys actually get it. So I'm totally okay with it. But yes, in terms of privacy, 100%. That's what we're being gaslit, right? The argument they're going to use is that privacy will be used by criminals, and it'll be the main network for criminality when it comes to misappropriating funds or doing what all this stuff. It is the ultimate gaslight, because privacy is absolutely essential for just normal function of everyday life. And it's not true. Like, the average person does not want privacy to, like, conceal the fact that they want to commit crime. They want privacy to like protect themselves against the crimes their own government wants to commit against them, right? Or strangers, for example. I don't know if you heard about what happened in New York City, where they had 2 NYPD detectives. They had found somebody with crypto. They abducted him and they tortured him for his seed phrase. This is law enforcement, right? And they were able to deduce that he had a lot of wealth in his wallet. So privacy is the norm, HoudiniSwap, and I think HoudiniSwap is right. And that's when THORChain is always going to be, is pro no KYC, pro privacy, which is very cool. HoudiniSwap, very excited. And by the way, my name's Denny. If you want to call me that, no big deal. But what's really cool is that we are going to be trying to add Monero XRM, native, real, permissionless layer 1 swaps of Monero. Now, we tried to do this about 2 or 3 years ago, and the technology just wasn't there. Very hard, because the thing on THORChain, these are real swaps, right? Like we exist on the native narrow ones. We have to guarantee solvency for swaps. This has been such a pain in the butt with Monero because of the obfuscation, right? And so it's like, how do we know if funds are coming in and if we're getting compensated for the funds that we're sending out? It's very hard. But a new library is being developed right now. And also with Memolist that we're going to be adding, this opens the gate where we can now pretty comfortably add real layer 1 swap. So this hopefully will be coming next year, hopefully Q1 or Q2. That's the goal. You know how things in crypto are with development, but the moment that goes live, if we're the first to do it, it'll be the first ever permissionless non-KYC access to XMR and HoudiniSwap. I would love for you guys to get access to that. You can plug it right in. I think you guys would be interested in that. And then you guys can actually offer layer 1 swaps, because that's what you said was absolutely right. When people go to buy Monero now, a lot of it's through a centralized exchange. It's not privacy, and they have to send their XMR off, right? But they've already surrendered their identity, and the case. So it's like it's done. So absolutely, man. So I'll kick it back to you if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, man. Look, we have a really long dated relationship with XMR and kind of the XMR community. The way that we're, like maybe to give people just a bit of context on how the privacy router actually works is, if I have ETH and I'm sending, or you want to receive Sol, Denny, like let's just use this example privately, right? I have ETH, I'm sending you Sol. Okay, how it actually works is you will send your ETH to a non KYC instant. So this is all done via our front end, right? And I encourage everybody on this call to kind of check it out and feel the magic themselves. But if I have ETH and I'm sending Sol, I will send ETH to a deposit wallet address that's unique to that individual transaction. It will then actually get swapped into XMR. Okay, XMR will leave the first non KYC exchange. It will go to a secondary non KYC exchange, so that the second exchange will receive XMR. It will then get swapped into Solana, and then off to Denny's recipient wallet address, right, or the user's wallet address. And so these are just APIs getting called on the back end. There is no HoudiniSwap liquidity pools. There is no HoudiniSwap DEX or wallet. We are non-custodial through and through. We are just a front end router that is giving users this full end-to-end obfuscation around private payments and transactions. So just to maybe help people understand some of the use cases, when people are funding a new Hyperliquid wallet, let's call it, right, or a new Solana Trenches wallet, a lot of the time what they'll do is they'll fund Solana to Solana privately, open up a new wallet address, so there's no existing connection to any of their previous accounts or any of their previous wallets, right? It's kind of like it's like truly starting fresh and funding fresh, right? Because if you're just going to do this, through a DEX or through some on-chain, protocol, you're able to see that your Solana trading wallet was funded via, 0x, whatever. So that's a use case for us too. Another one that's kind of emerged that's pretty cool is this idea of financial operations. So we've had companies reach out to us looking for a payroll solution because, it's like take an example of a Bitcoin mining operation. Okay, they have 20 employees that are mining BTC. they're paying their employees biweekly in crypto. You know, if they do this all publicly, right, the employees are able to see how much is in the Bitcoin Treasury wallet address, which is just obviously fundamentally flawed. And then even further to that is that the employees are basically able to see what one another is making at the company, which is also just fundamentally flawed. So we've gotten some inbounds for our API to leverage our our private payments tech in kind of a B2B solution, which has been really exciting. Um, the largest one that we've actually been able to secure over the past year is Maestro. They're kind of the OG sniping bot in crypto. So how it currently works is say you have Bitcoin on a centralized exchange, you want to open up, fund a Binance Smart Chain Maestro sniping wallet. You can do that via like on their front end. Their / bridge is actually HoudiniSwap. So you fund your Maestro account privately. Say you snipe into a few tokens, hopefully a couple thousand X's later on Maestro, you're now sitting on a crazy amount of wealth. You can then off ramp out of the Maestro wallet into your Phantom wallet or a centralized exchange account or a cold storage, wherever you want to go from there, privately too. So we cover kind of the in and out, the on and off ramp transactions for Maestro users, which is great, which is really really great. So yeah, man, that's kind of a bit more about us. And yeah, happy to answer any kind of follow-ups or take this in any way that you want.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you said you're Canadian, but maybe tell us, like, where is Houdini Swap based, or is it like decentralized all over the world? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we're an offshore entity. Like the founding team is here in Canada. Unfortunately, the Canadian government makes it extremely difficult to launch a startup. There's not many accommodating policies and business practices in place to be a successful entrepreneur in Canada. So most crypto entities are forced to register and incorporate offshore, which is what we did. That being said, though, we have a pretty distributed team. It's kind of one of the benefits of crypto is that you're able to secure global talent. So we have devs out of Romania, we have executives out of Australia, we have support team out of Europe. So we're pretty distributed, and we cover we cover multiple jurisdictions and time zones. One thing too that I will just say that's so just like to go back to that example of how the privacy works. One of the most common kind of frustrations for our users is that the latency on the privacy swap takes it's about a 10 to 12 minute transaction time, which is really which can be really frustrating. It's more of like a bridging experience versus a pure swap experience, which is almost instantaneous now. But what we sacrifice in speed, we obtain and we get in compliance, which is awesome to be able to work with partners like Maestro, and we're talking all the tier one wallets. So they love that piece that we can actually guardrail, illicit activity and geoblock and OFAC sanctioned countries. So that's that's a real nice to have. The other thing that's really nice to have is the customer support piece. So like a lot of people, like you'd be surprised how many people kind of just like mess, or maybe you won't be surprised, but to see how many people mess up transactions, whether it's transaction size, whether it's wrong asset, whether it's wrong chain, like USDC on ARB, and they're like, oh, I thought it was USDC on Base. So one of the benefits of Houdini Swap is that we do have this 24/7 customer support that is truly legendary. Like they work, like they're the unsung heroes of Houdini Swap, that are able to recover the, like help users one on one, and it's not some AI chat bot. We realize that financial infrastructure and we're financial technology. So it's really, really important for us to be bulletproof on a user experience perspective. And part of user experience is not just design and front end and how sick your skin is. It's also just like can users trust this and have a reliable experience, especially if they're sending hundreds of thousands of dollars through. So yeah, it's it's a great place. It's a great place to swap privately. And then also the other side of that too. I know I'm rambling here, but the other side of that too, Denny, is like I'd say like our first foray, like our first year and a half was really on privacy, like head down, locked in on privacy, trying to reverse the narrative around, privacy being for criminals and privacy being sketchy. And, after Tornado Cash, we were trying to really do like God's work on privacy and say, no, it's for investing, it's for trading, it's for payroll, it's for, it's for payments, it's for sending your buddy funds and he doesn't get to see how rich or poor you are. That was, taking Ubers safely, buying Starbucks safely, and not having the counterparty have access to all your financial data. That was our first foray. The second foray was really around this idea of interoperability and cross-chain connectivity. So like a year and a half ago, like it seemed like every single day there was a new L1 or L2 spawning onto the scene, right? Like 100 rollups to ETH, Alt L1, Monad, and Solana, and Cardano, and Ripple, and Litecoin, all these like chains, right? And like BTC L2s, everything, you name it. Major infrastructure builds. And so what we also wanted to provide at HoudiniSwap was this idea of like this convenience of a currency exchange where it's like you have yen, you want US dollars or you want pesos. Okay, perfect. Like you're off to the races in one click on HoudiniSwap.com. And so we really so now, to fast forward to today, we support over 100 networks, and we are able to facilitate all cross-chain transactions, which is truly remarkable. The breadth of chains and asset offering that now lives inside of Houdini. So, yeah, another cool feat in our journey.
Well, there's a lot of people in the audience that love Monero, that love privacy. I know Max Power is one of them who's in listening right now. You have a lot of friends in this audience, and I encourage you guys to follow HoudiniSwap's profile, because they're 100% correct. They're 100% correct when it comes to the future. You have to get the ethos right. On THORChain side, THORChain is completely permissionless. We will not halt swaps no matter what the address is. And really, it's from an infrastructure side. We can't really, without killing ourselves, because if you have, let's say, exploited funds, especially from a centralized exchange, which is the very thing that THORChain is trying to replace, right? It is so easy for them to quickly obfuscate by, hopping around on different other DeFi. Like, you can't prevent these funds on THORChain. We couldn't develop a filter that would work fast enough to reel in more time. It's just so impractical, and it would really cause us to slow down, right? But we have a lot of interfaces that run the infrastructure on THORChain on the back end, and they, of course, can, which is great, and they should, right? You should be compliant and try to stop these funds as much as possible. So I applaud your efforts on that front as well. And this is where it's going to go, right? I mean, you set it out perfectly. To give an example, we have a fork of THORChain. It's called My Protocol. We're basically the same community in many ways. They have Zcash offering on My Protocol. Real layer one permissionless access to Zcash, and they're going to try and get, if I'm not mistaken, the shielded version of Zcash natively is available as well, right? And this is a very cool innovation. So privacy is here to stay, and we're seeing it, on all these different blockchains like Solana, Ethereum. Like, the push for privacy is there because, to the many points that you alluded to, it's just essential, right? Like, not allowing coworkers to know which each other coworker is getting paid. It's just ludicrous. I mean, it's so obvious this is the way to go. And the vast majority of exploited funds, they happen from centralized exchanges where you have third parties custodying the assets of others, when they have to sacrifice their KYC. And then not even to mention the data leaks, right? Like, my data has been leaked twice from two separate entities. And now I'm getting scam emails all the time. And it's a disaster. It's a disaster. So I am so excited that you're here, man. And this is perfect. You are a perfect candidate for this space, because privacy is the way forward. And it's like projects like ours that get the fundamentals correct in the early days, that's going to carry merit. That's going to carry weight. Because I think, it's like utility season, I think, right? People are going to understand those who do not embrace the ethos, because as crazy it is, back when, let's say, Bybit, which I believe was the biggest hack of all time, centralized exchange, those funds, a lot of them went through THORChain. Now, it's not laundering because, THORChain's private, you can see where the funds are going, right? Because we have to guarantee solvency. But there were so many DeFi protocols and others that really like tried to tell us that to censor these swaps, right? And we held our ground on this firmly. And I think we're going to get rewarded on this in the same way that you guys have been so pro privacy. It's just going to work out. So I really applaud you. Maybe you'd like to tell us of things that are coming in Houdini Swap.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
One quick point on that, like I'm not really here to give like, like an opinion or like even further that like a solution for KYC and guardrails in place, right? Because like there's costs and benefit, like there's costs and benefits to every single, like there's no perfect fit, right? Like KYC, sure, like like seems like the perfect solution, right? But then people forge their KYCs, and again, like there's data breaches even at top tier institutions like Coinbase, or like they limit, they restrict your withdrawals, like during times of crazy volatility, as we saw with Binance. Like there's no one size fit all approach, right? And so you guys have gone full permissionless, like open the doors to anybody access, which again, like like, so it's kind of like my buddy was talking about this example of like like Microsoft, like, and this might be like the I'm the king of terrible analogies, but it's like Microsoft Excel, right? If like Colombian drug lords use Microsoft Excel to track their P&L of drug sales, like is that on Bill Gates and Microsoft, right? Or whereas like 95% of their customers or their users are using it for like whatever financial modeling or data aggregation, like whatever it is, right? So it's like open source permissionless software. It's like I think it's just a thing, right? It's just progressive technology. It's not good or bad by design. I think we're just trying to put some level of protection in place,
Yes.
in a way that we feel confident in, and that's just our approach. But there's like so clearly not one size fit all
Your
um,
approach is right. No, your approach is
approach.
100% correct. Like as an entity, as an interface, having a filter like that is 100% to go. The Thorchain main protocol itself is just raw infrastructure. It's like a highway, right? And,
Yeah,
and and criminals use highways, unfortunately, and we hate criminals. Obviously, I hate the DPRK. I hate
yeah,
criminals. But the thing is like first principles, right? If you have infrastructure that has a permissioned element, then it will be used to subjugate children in the future. It just is what it is. And so you cannot have infrastructure like that. So what you are doing is 100% correct. I hope you didn't interpret me as
yeah.
criticizing. That's not at all what I'm doing. Because if I were you, I would be doing the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, completely agree, completely agree. And honestly, like, it's crazy. I was just in Paris, like speaking to the Ledger team. They're doing a full like announcement and rollout of their new like Ledger Nano and all this stuff. And they're kind of like, they come from the very same school of thought, right? Like they are, they're cold storage. They're all about security, and security is like the cousin of privacy, right? Like they're protecting so many assets. They gave all these numbers, like that you mentioned, Denny, like that Bybit hack, right? Like just one click signatures. We've all felt it, right? The Coinbase phishing links, and like just the link energy that exists within crypto. It's painful, right? It's painful for people to lose thousands of, in some cases millions, in Bybit's case billions of dollars of assets, just in a one or two click like situation. So yeah, like I completely agree with what you said, and that's kind of what we're doing too, right? Like it's like the bigger the target you are, the more sophisticated the attack becomes, right? So like I like to tell people, just as a part of like their security, just as you would like updating your passwords, or like whatever, your OPSEC on your business ops or whatever it is. Like I think part of that is rotating funds privately to new wallets, right? If like there's as soon as what, and like it's up to the individual, but and you can set the number. But like if you were to click a link and $50,000, that you're holding in a phantom wallet was to be gone tomorrow, right? How would that affect you? I'm sure it would hurt a lot. So every few months or every month, maybe you put 25,000 to a new, to a MetaMask or to a Rabby or to a different Phantom, wallet that's not connected, not linked. And it's just a part of your, like your OPSEC, and that's kind of the space that we want to operate in. Um, because yeah, like you only become a target, right? Like Justin Bieber only cares about privacy because he's Justin Bieber, right? Like if you never become that level, you probably don't have to care about privacy, or you don't become a target. But as the space evolves and as people kind of get wealthier and wealthier, and those day one whales are just stacking all these assets, like they shouldn't have to look over their shoulder. And I think Houdini Swap helps them, at least as one part of that piece, to not have to look over their shoulder. Anyways, fast forward to like what's coming, like what we're building. We're really like, we truly believe that the product, it is like, it is bulletproof as it stands. Like there's obviously, like, we are hyper competitive. There is no like, like any startup, any founders that say that their product is 100% bulletproof is obviously lying to you. But we do feel like that it is, very, very close to getting there. So once that goal has been achieved, we turn our attention to full scale and growth mode. And so like things like affiliate programs, things like, tier one partnerships, things like B2B integrations. I think we like, our dream at Houdini Swap is to see some sort of private mode in all other front ends that have distribution, right? Like think about Phantom. Say you're like, you're swapping, or you're sending, or you're bridging, or you're receiving. Imagine there was an option that was just like private mode for whatever, $1 more, or like it's kind of like Uber X, and then taking like that Uber Black. It's like that would be a really sick offering inside of MetaMask, inside of Phantom, inside of Rabby, inside of Trust, inside of Photon, inside of Axiom, like all these tier one distribution centers, inside of Ledger Live, and their wallet that they're coming out with. That's kind of the dream for us. But yeah, like in terms of what we're building, we're just trying to go, as full tilt growth mode as possible. We rolled out this crazy incentives program that's not like some BS, like farm Houdini swap for an anticipated airdrop. Like we already have a token, we've already been around for 3.5 years, so it's not this like like pump and dump, kind of like farm us until we go away. Kind of like Sybil, fund 400 wallets and farm Houdini swap. No, it's like truly like it's going to be here, like for years and years, and really it's just worked its way into our business model. So it's a perpetual incentives program for users that are using the swap. We have affiliates that's coming. We have all these tier one partnerships that are coming. We've partnered with CoreDAO as of recently, which is like a BTC, a BTC5 project, Plasma, like Wormhole. We're getting very like 4Meme, the Binance Launchpad. Like we're just working our way up and up and up the tree in terms of partnerships, growth, marketing. Um, we like literally the 3.5 years we've been building this, I think we've spent maybe like cumulatively truly $10,000, if not $20,000 of marketing spend. And so everything that you see on Houdini swap, all the growth, all the traction has been organic, word of mouth. We also never raised funds from VCs. We're not a part of some like Binance incubation program or some A16Z, Paradigm, Sequoia, like Cabal. We're truly just solving problems for people. And like clearly that model works through and through, whether it's crypto, whether it's anything you do in life. If you solve problems for people and you give it to them in a simplified way that everyone can understand, there's going to be money to be made. So that's what we're doing. And but yeah, like I don't have any like crazy mega alpha to share on this. I'll just say like the products and services that we're going to be launching are just very consistent with our existing offering. Something like a multi, like a private disperse, right? Like that's on our radar. So you have 200 Solana in one wallet. You want to fund 600 wallets privately. Okay, like, you'll be able to do that on our front end, and say, wallet A wants to be funded with zero point 0.2 ETH. Wallet B wants to be funded with 1,000 USDT on Tron. Wallet C, Solana, like that, like all this private disperse functionality. Like these are things that we're all really heads down on. And then, like, sorry, like the last thing that I'll say, I know I'm kind of just going on a long tangent here, is like, I think, like, whoever can truly figure out in crypto the on-chain privacy piece will make like a trillion dollars, honestly, right? Like, stable coins will never scale if there's no privacy. Like, crypto will never scale if there's no privacy, and we're doing it in a way that's like 99% there, right? Like the only issue that we have is that it takes 10 to 12 minutes for a transaction, and it's a bit more expensive, right? It's like an Uber Black offering that we currently give, and that's okay. But, like, we are hell bent on trying to provide this on-chain privacy piece with all of the lessons that we've learned over the past 3.5 years of privacy, right? So there has to be some guardrails in place, right? It can't be like these shielded assets or these wrapped assets, or like like, it has to be able to interact with DeFi protocols that people already know and love. We can't launch some like private Hyperliquid or private Uniswap, or like, it can't be this, like, this new privacy, like ecosystem. We want it to be private within, like, within your current ecosystem that you use, or else we don't want you, like, basically we don't want you to have to make any sacrifices on your UI, your UX, whatever assets you already use. So, like, that is our like laser 24/7 development engineering focus right now, is to solve on-chain privacy with compliance, with the speed, with the lowest cost, with the DeFi applications you already use. You don't have to go to Uniswap private, or Hyperliquid private, or Aave private, or have private Sol and then not private Sol. Like, it just, no, so we're gonna figure that out, and I think that's really like the dream come true. But 99.9%, I think, is solved. We're just, through Houdini Swap right now, we're just very, very competitive, and want to be the ones to build that. So, yeah.
Dude, that's really awesome. And I actually have a lot of things I want to mention to you. But first thing, before I forget, I have to thank you, because we were going to have a space. I think it was like the other Wednesday, and I got really, really sick. Like, probably two other times I've been that sick. And so I could not show up. Like, I've gone to work being sick before, and you just tough it out and you do it. It's no big deal. But I was really non-functional. Like, it was bad. It was bad. So I wanted to thank you for showing up. And again, I just want to say I really appreciate you being here, and I appreciate Cal stepping up on that other thing too. And I'm really glad that you're here, man. So I just want to say I really appreciate it. Additionally, um, what you were saying about all the different things that you want to do, there is so much collaboration that can happen. So you're right. The first principles are correct. You have these people who are familiar with their own wallet, their own situation, right? There is friction if you try to get them to move to a new ecosystem, to a new thing. The best thing is to go to where they're at, right? Because you want to remove the friction. You want to make everything privacy based, right? To incorporate that. And I think that's kind of where you're going with your affiliate system, if I understand you correctly. But just generally speaking, like, Houdini Swap wants to do this. And this is perfect. So on THORChain side, um, we do cross real layer one permissionless swaps. That's what we do, right? You can swap layer one to layer one. It's real. It's not a bridge, which is like an intermediary application layer, that tries to see consensus and sends, like, funds from this location that would via smart contract. Like, all the nodes run daemons of each individual layer one. So these are real transactions happening. And then we have Bifrost daemon, which is basically a lot of the swap logic and the calculation. Very, very complex. THORChain's history, it's been brutal. I mean, it's just been like, we've just been bleeding out of our nose and mouth and eyes for years now, but we've got to the point now we got this figured out. It runs smooth. It works great. And to the big point that you made, and I hope you guys are paying attention when he said about people being frustrated with wait times, like was it 10 or 12 minutes, whatever it was you said, that is so true. And THORChain sort of has this little bit of a problem too, because we have something called an outbound queue. And the outbound queue is basically a defense mechanism. If like there was a bug or something, like it rests in the outbound queue. And the community can notice it and flag it, and we can do something. We haven't really had that problem in a while, but that outbound queue serves as an annoyance or a friction, right, between the customer service, the impression of the people, like, where's my money, where's my swap, right? So I think, guys, from HoudiniSwap experience, this is just double like the impact of, we really have to do our best to get this outbound queue as low as possible to improve the overall experience of THORChain. But ultimately, again, to not to get sidetracked here, what I'm going to is with Rujira, I shared something up top there. This is a team you really got to reach out to, because they're the app layer on top of THORChain. And this is really, really cool, because like THORChain, we have real permissionless layer one swaps. And what you can build on that is really, really cool. For the first time ever, we are going to have a DEX where you're going to be able to have all the primitives available on a centralized exchange. So whatever you can think of, perps, money markets, leverage, all of these really cool things are once sequestered. It's going to become available on THORChain via the app layer. But there's a big difference here. On centralized exchanges, HoudiniSwap, I'm sure you know this, there is a layer of like an internal information mechanism that you are not privy to. There can be like an internal ledger. It could be Oracle based, like we saw with the recent downturn in the market a little while ago, where the price feed was like the Oracle of Binance itself, and that just caused this massive downturn, right? There's an Oracle on THORChain called Enshrined Oracle, and it did not have this problem. So what's so cool is that we're going to be building a DEX, right, that is going to be fully auditable at any point. There will be no piece of information that'll be abstracted away or obfuscated from the user themselves. And this is such a big deal, because it really brings to DeFi what it was always meant to be. Because up until recently, right, we've had to sort of have this coping mechanism where, like, like HoudiniSwap's trying to figure out how to do privacy, and you guys have a pretty good robust system, sounds like, to get that done. But doing cross-link swaps, like centralized exchanges were, I think, and not to throw shade at them, of course, but it was a necessary aspect in order to try and get to the point where we're going to go. And this is so cool, because you guys are privacy based. This is such a firm part of your ethos. We're going to be adding natively, XMR. THORChain will add Zcash hopefully at some point. My protocol already has Zcash. They'll probably add Monero as well, so we'll have redundancy. I would love it if you guys reach out to Ruggiero, because then because you guys want to scale and form all these partnerships, it is absolutely perfect, because then you'll have layer one access not only to these assets, which might make your ability to, give people into privacy with like -1 action. So it's more of a streamlined process, but it's just going to be great, man. And I'm so happy here. I'm so excited this conversation is happening, because this is where we just like build together, right? Because we have a shared ambition here. If we get privacy to be normalized, then everyone wins. And it was like you were saying, like the stable coin that achieves privacy is going to be huge, because it's going to be absolutely massive. So I'll kick it back to you.
Yeah, man. I like, look, very, very well said. Yeah, man. Happy to reach out to Ruggiero and speak to them. And like, these are the type of partnerships that, obviously just go so hand in hand with us. And yeah, man, I think that's like, just a part of our scaling strategy. Um, but as somebody who's like really, deep in the privacy space, like I've used, like it's kind of my job too to like see what else is out there in the space, right? And I've used Railgun, and I've used, Zalshi, and I've used like Aztec protocol, like projects, and I've used Ghostly Swap. I've used all these things, and yeah, like honestly, like no shade against them. Like, I think rising tide kind of lifts all boats. We definitely don't want to just have like a monopoly on privacy, which I definitely felt like we do, and and it should, like, more market participants just make the space more efficient. But it's there's such a sacrifice on the UX side, or on the UI side. And so all of these things, all of these lessons that we've learned over the past 3.5 years of building this, really like help us kind of formulate a really strong thesis and roadmap for what's next, which really is privacy decks for us. And so it's going to be, I really think that it's going to be, earth shattering. And you just, and it's great to see, right? Like we've seen, Vitalik, we've seen Anatoly, we've seen, think about Aster, right? Like what is Aster? Okay. Like they're basically just like BNB's or BSC's version of Hyperliquid plus privacy, right? Like they have those hidden transactions and hidden order books. So if you don't want to be the James Wins of the world, maybe you do, but maybe you don't, right? Maybe you don't want to show that you're have a $50 million leverage trade pending on Hyperliquid. Maybe you don't want to, and have people rush to get you liquidated, or, like whatever. Like some, I think, to quote the great, Lil Wayne, I think it's, real G's moving silence like lasagna. So that's at least my personal dream, right? Is to have wealth, but not have to walk around with security all the time, right? Like who wants this? Especially with Ledger, right? Like I just spoke with them. Everyone saw what happened with Ledger, and getting kidnapped and his wife taken. Like it's not it's great to achieve financial security, but financial freedom, I would say, is the goal for everybody in crypto. And so yeah, it's only a matter of time. Like we see that Jupiter's doing a couple billion a day, and we're doing 40-50 million a week. So it's frustrating for us, but it's also just, it's part of the process, right? Think of a user, like a normie coming to crypto, right? I think their gateway drug is kind of like a centralized exchange, right? They want an email sign up. They want kind of like a Wealth Simple or Robinhood type of trading experience, right? To get onboarded into crypto. Okay. Then, as they progress, maybe they accumulate some wealth in ETH or Sol or Bitcoin, whatever it is. And then, they realize, oh, wow, like, Coinbase ripping me 2% fees on this and that, and I can only buy 50 tokens, and my passport's floating around the internet. Like, that's kind of crazy. So, okay, let me venture into on-chain land, right? And that's kind of like their second, the V2 of their crypto experience. And once they're in on-chain land, then they're landing on things like THORChain and Jupiter and Radium and Uniswap, and using and self-custodying, and understanding more and more about what that means, and the risks associated with that, but also the benefits associated with being on chain, and like the cost savings. And then kind of like, I'd say after that, like once they accumulate wealth, once they hit that 100x, once they have more, like once they've accumulated maybe 50, 100 grand in their wallets, then it's time to start being like, okay, I have 100 grand in a hot wallet. Like I click one link. Everything I've worked on, I interact with one DeFi protocol that is malicious, or I'm getting phished, and all my life savings, my hard work is now gone. So it's like, or people are jealous that I've been able to achieve this 100 grand in wealth, and people are going to start following me around, or follow my wallets, or front run my trades, or like everything, all of this stuff, right? There's a million examples I can speak of. And so we're kind of that V3 of a user's crypto journey. But like we all see the stats on dex dex volumes as a percentage of centralized exchange volume, right? That's going up and to the right. So more people are starting to come on chain. Every institution, like every week, it seems like is kind of tokenizing things and coming on chain. So there's this massive tidal wave coming for on chain, and so that just means that more people are going to fall into Houdini Swap, as crypto evolves. And that was our thesis from day one, right? Like privacy doesn't, it's not on the radar. Like it's not on the radar for everyone, because, like not everyone has like, not everyone's high net worth, or it doesn't become relevant until it does. And once your privacy is gone, it's not something that you can get back. So it's just very important to keep privacy on your radar. But obviously, like, it's not as, for people, it's not more important right now than it is like getting to that first 100 grand in crypto assets, right? So we get that, like, we totally get that. And so we're trying to do things like incentivization programs and campaigns, and trading competitions and affiliate programs where you can get to those milestones earlier. But yeah, we don't think that privacy is a narrative or a niche or a feature or this and that. It's just like, it's freedom. Like, privacy is freedom, privacy is security, privacy is wealth. The real people that I think are truly living the dream are the ones that have, like millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars of wealth, but can just walk the streets free, and don't have to look over their shoulder, and don't have to walk around with armed security wherever they go, and have their friends treat them differently, and this and that, right? And or at least give them the option, to have that, like, that's it. That's the key, is giving them the option to make those decisions. And sure, if you go buy a $10 million mansion, people are going to be like, okay, well, something's happening here. But at least giving you the option to not be exploited based on your success financially. It's crazy. It makes no sense, and it doesn't happen in Web 2. And so that's one of the reasons that Web 2, PayFi and neobanks and all these things were able to scale, is because privacy was, inherently given to people. And so yeah, that's where we're at.
Absolutely. I think that's great. That's everything you said is absolutely well said. Well done. I encourage everyone listening right now, please follow HoudiniSwap. This is a fantastic protocol. They share our ethos, very, very similar in about every single way. So absolutely loving this conversation. I always assume this, but I just want to ask for the record, HoudiniSwap, that name, is that inspired by the illusionist Harry Houdini, I assume?
Yeah, of
Of
course, of
course.
course. It
Okay.
was pretty. Yeah. We make transactions disappear. It was pretty. It was pretty cringy. I look back at some of our old X posts, like, in the first few months, we were having like magicians on and trying to do, some like organic marketing that way. And I was like, it makes me sick to my stomach
Oh
to
man,
see
that's
some
so
of those
good.
old posts. But it's like looking at your like Facebook posts when you were in high school. It's like, oh God, what was I thinking? But yes, we are Harry Houdini. We make things disappear, which is your transaction hash, effectively.
Well, you're so funny. It's funny because you mentioned the marketing thing, right? And THORChain's really never done marketing either, right? So it's been an organic growth, which is good, but we are also transitioning to a marketing phase. And then, a lot of people find the things we did cringe. Now, like, we had the Chris Hemsworth, Thor friggin' thing, with the hammer. And a lot of people think of that as cringe right now. It's so funny you say that. There's just so many similarities between us. Okay, so one thing you said, something I found was interesting, and I don't, you don't have to throw shade on anybody particular, but you mentioned a lot of other protocols and that they're all trying, their own implementation. But what Houdini offers is really solid option when it comes to privacy. I was just wondering, because we want to make sure we get this right with ethos. Would you like to just share? And again, you don't have to say their name personally, but like, what are some problems would you say that other interfaces have, or like maybe some technological sacrifices they have to make, or maybe some advantages of using HoudiniSwap over some of them?
Yeah.
Would you like to do that?
Yeah, for sure. It's a really good point. So yeah, so like privacy. So yeah, so let's just go through them, right? So like centralized exchanges, I spoke on. I think we're all very clear with kind of like the ups and downs of a centralized exchange. But yes, you can get privacy there. So that's an option. Okay, you can hold privacy tokens. Okay, so like you can hold XMR, right, and like you can hold Zcash as like a price go up, or like I'm shorting it, price go down. But that's like not that doesn't really solve like the transactions piece, right? Like that's not like a private Venmo, or like a private Interact e-transfer, or like a private Stripe. Okay, that's more of like holding the asset class. Okay, there's a third layer, which is like these non KYC exchanges. Okay, that we use on our back end. But if you go to like a fixed float or like a simple swap and just interact with them directly and not use Houdini Swap, you're getting what we call like a semi-private experience. Okay, it's like a 50% of the way there privacy experience where it's no KYC. It gives you the centralized exchange experience, and it obfuscates your transaction like somewhat, right? Somewhat, but some people are like, no, that's not good enough. We know, like, we know exactly what hot wallets they're coming from. The payout wallets that fixed float and shapeshift and some of these people are using. So it's like, it's not like actual people, actual, like, threats to your privacy are really, really, are really intelligent, and they'll be able to spot that 100%. So that's not an option. The other options that I've personally used, and I'm just speaking, because like these are some of the things that I've used, is like Railgun it is private, but it's almost like the analogy is almost like it's like a private bank, like a private savings account on ETH, right? So like I can store my ETH assets in Railgun. It's kind of like storing them, like taking your money and just putting it under your mattress. Like it's kind of equivocal to that, which again doesn't give you like the payments or like the transactional or paying people, receiving payments, bridging assets, and it's only ETH, right? So like what about everything else? So that's a massive limitation there. Um, these privacy chains like that we see coming up and up all the time, like Alio is a really good example of like this high flying chain that just got like a pretty significant VC raise. Again, requires you to bridge into their ecosystem, use their version of Alio's like DEX and Alio's wallets and this and that. And so now it's like another seed phrase to write down and another DEX you have to trust. And like, and there you take on this chain specific risk, right, where it's like, like what, like we just saw Cadena basically get grandfathered. They're not a privacy chain, but they're just like an L1 that's kind of just slow rugged. I like, apologies to them for using that word. It's not like, that's just unfortunately what happened. But so yeah, you take on all of these other UI UX like assumptions and risks, and as you seek privacy, and to us that's not fair for the user. So really, like the dream scenario is to build like a Tornado Cash that is any chain, any any DeFi like exposure that you're looking for, with guardrails in place, to ensure that your funds don't get tainted, right? Like I've used Tornado Cash, and then I go to, it's like putting your marble in a basket of a million marbles, right? And so you drop your marble in, then it gets mixed. The marbles get shaken up in the bag with a million other marbles, but maybe when it's getting shaken up, it touches DPRK's marbles that are in there, right? So now you go to transact, elsewhere, and people are like, and it's been tainted, right? Like your marble has now touched, North Korea's marble. So it doesn't do anything for, like, it renders that wallet, like unusable effectively. So again, we, like, with all this in mind, we built Houdini Swap, and again, like, we are 99% of the way there. It's just getting the speed and the price down as much as humanly possible, and then this is something that everybody can use all day long. And as this privacy piece becomes more and more on people's radar, as people kind of become more tenured in crypto, then you have these two catalysts merging, and I think it'll just create this, like, this $1 trillion opportunity. And the way that I know that this is a $1 trillion opportunity too is because you have the biggest names in crypto trying to solve this problem too, right? You see the ETH Foundation posting about it. You see Anatoly talking about it on Spaces. You see Ledger talking about it. These are the largest companies and foundations in the world, and so we will hopefully be pioneers in this side of things. But what we have now is also a brilliant tool that I use all the time, and we also just have the full on-chain piece too, without privacy. So like we're just also trying to give kind of like this Amazon experience where, even if you don't care about privacy or it's not relevant to you, or maybe you just have $1,000 in your wallet, we have all the traditional aggregation pieces that a user would want. So like we have Aerodrome under the hood, we have Jupiter under the hood, we have Uniswap under the hood, we have dBridge under the hood, we have Mayan under the hood, we have all of these on-chain components too in the aggregator. So even the users that aren't there or care really about privacy can still interact with us, because I remember a time where I had to go to like Jupiter for this, I had to go to 1inch for that, I had to go to THORChain for this transaction, I had to go to HoudiniSwap for privacy, I had to go to like, and I'd have 10 different tabs open. I'd be like, what the hell? Like, why is this? Like, this is the worst. Like, this is the worst experience.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we bundled it all into one offering, the on-chain piece and then the privacy piece, all wrapped under HoudiniSwap.com. So, yeah, check it out.
Dude, so okay, I am so excited you said all that because one of the things that THORChain wants to do, we really want to ramp the chains that we can add. We're going to an opt-in model where nodes can choose individual chains clients to support. So we're massively just going to go balls to the wall trying to add as many chain clients as possible, and then combined with the privacy as well that you guys offer. Holy moly, I am so excited. There's so much here, but I have to say, we have Kenton here. This is my buddy. This is my co-host. Kenton is also Canadian, so I'm sure you guys were partying last night on a bender with the Blue Jays win. Kenton, you want to check your mic there, brother? How you doing?
Yeah, mic check. Good, thanks. Yeah, really sorry, guys. My apologies to HoudiniSwap. I'm getting over jet lag, and I set my alarm wrong, and so I apologize for missing the first hour.
No, hey, don't worry about it, bro. I did it to Houdini myself, and I was sick. So we're cursed, man.
Yeah.
It's funny, but no, you actually made it. So no, I'm happy. Yeah, this has been a really good one, Kenton. HoudiniSwap, named largely inspired by Harry Houdini, or inspired by Harry Houdini, I should say. They are completely privacy focused. That they share our ethos. That is the first principles what they do. HoudiniSwap, we have a lot of new listeners. Maybe we'll just do it one more time. Can you just talk about how you achieve privacy on HoudiniSwap? And how does it work when you mention like swapping, like XMR to Solana and such like that? Go ahead and do that one more time, if you would, please. Are you muted, sir? Oh, shoot. Oh, there you are.
Sorry, my
No
internet
worries.
kind of cut. Was that a question for me? Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I'll repeat, no worries. Because we got so many new people in here. I would just like just describe again, like, how do you do privacy on HoudiniSwap? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just one more, like as you mentioned the XMR, because I was told you about the
Yeah.
XMR
Sorry.
integration. Yeah, no worries,
Yes.
brother. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. Still in my mom's basement. Yeah, no, man. So basically, there's a few things that we use to enable end-to-end privacy, but to make it very, very clear for users is if I have Sol and I'm trying to fund a new wallet privately, or I'm trying to send a buddy, assets privately for a dinner that we had the night before. How it works is go to HoudiniSwap.com. Okay, you put in Sol to Sol, put in the recipient's wallet address. Maybe it's yours, maybe it's somebody you're sending money to. You will send your Solana to a custom deposit wallet that is provided by one of our LPs, which is a non-custodial, non KYC centralized exchange. Okay, so you'll send Sol there. They will then swap it into XMR. XMR will then get sent to a secondary exchange, which they will then swap into Solana again, and then to the recipient's receiving wallet address. So unfortunately, all the latency issues that I mentioned is because of this exact reason, right? It's like 5 APIs, like there's a send, there's a swap, there's another send, there's another swap, and then there's a receive. So there's like 5 APIs getting called on the back end of HoudiniSwap.com. So that's why it takes like 10-ish minutes, and sometimes longer if it's like kind of more long-tailed random assets that people are interacting with. But that's effectively how it works. It's using these non-custodial centralized exchanges as our LPs. It's using intermediary tokens like XMR as kind of like this routing methodology, and that's basically it. So all aggregated onto our front end in kind of like a seamless user experience. And just one thing that I didn't mention that's really really important is like one of our UVPs and like one of our moats. Like it's very simple tech, but like one of the most important things is there are like literally 1,000, probably more, probably 10,000 of these what are called instant exchanges. So you can think of like Changely, Change Now. These are some of the names that I'm referring to as our LPs. The reason we only work with about 10 of them, like maybe 12 max, at any given time, is because only 12 of them have passed our diligence requirements. So that means that they need to have AML bot, they need to have elliptic screening, they need to have chain analysis accounts, to ensure that like there is KYT, which is like, okay, this is a blacklisted wallet that just hacked whatever or exploited whatever. Okay, those assets aren't able to pass through Houdini Swap. So like that to me is truly like one of our largest moats, and the reason why somebody can't just come and spin up our tech tomorrow is because we've done a lot of work with our partners, which are these instant exchanges, to make sure that they all have these kind of checks and balances in place, because there is like 1,000 of these offerings out there, like in the realm of these instant exchanges, but we only work with 12 because 12 have actually passed our test, and have the liquidity and the depth and all these other things that are important. So yeah.
Can I ask you, have you seen like online, like I'd say probably once a month, once every couple months, there's somebody online complaining about their trade being frozen at Changely, and maybe Change Now and some of the others. Have you seen any of those posts? And if so, does that not concern you routing trades through them? They freeze the trade and then they demand KYC from the person. And this person's like, what the hell? I thought I was using a DEX, because they're using a wallet, their front end that's offering the trade, right? And then they do try to provide KYC, and then it's not acceptable. It's not good enough, and their money is stuck for months on end. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you have anything to
Yeah,
address that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. 100%, man. Really, really, really good point. I do see these. I do see these all the time, and so here's the thing, right? Is like our the passage of funds through these exchanges kind of goes through like a red light, yellow light, green light process. Okay, so like honestly, I would say 99% of transactions go through green. Okay, and it's all good. If it's yellow, it means that maybe those wallets like have touched, like as I said, like have touched some protocol, or have been interacting with other wallets that have been flagged for XYZ reasons. So if it's a yellow light process, it'll be like, okay, we stop, the funds are held. If the user passes KYC, then like the transaction will go through. Or if they can't pass KYC, then the funds will be sent back to the user's wallet address. Doesn't take months. This is maybe like a 48-hour, 72-hour turnaround, which is obviously still not great. Like we get that. And then the red light process is like, yeah, this is like these wallets have interacted with or are a part of like a legitimate ongoing criminal investigation, in which like we want to support the investigation. Like we're not, it's not our role to be like the Zach XPTs. We're not forensics investigators. We're not a government. We're not regulators. Like we're not in that department. But it is in our best interest to to make sure like that we're doing good for crypto and the world, and like, you know, like eradicating these bad actors. So in the red light process, we do get involved and make sure that we are, you know, being as helpful to law enforcement as possible. But again, like it comes down to this, like these trade-offs, right? Of like yes, like, and that's why we're trying to build this like this on-chain piece where it is permissionless and there is no risk of like funds being held or blocked or whatever. Um, but like it enables us to weed out a lot of the traffic that we don't want coming to HoudiniSwap. So yeah, man, like well received, really, really, really good question. I see this stuff all the time. And we work with our exchange partners like every single day to make sure that like the wallets that they are like looking into or are like stopping, let's call it for lack of a better term, or blocking, are like legitimate reasons to stop those. But this is like, again, we've done, I think, like, you know, close to $3 billion of transactional volume. Like, it's such a small, it's like micro fraction of our traffic that it hasn't been worth it for us to just like go fully permissionless, because it's like, you know, then the other side of that is, sure, like now we don't have anybody posting about how your funds have been stopped, but now we have posting about people like funds going through and being like, wow, like HoudiniSwap was used in a Lazarus group, you know, like exploit. So what would we rather, right? It's like there's just no one size fit all approach, but we are working on that one size fit all approach. So that's like, that's where our time and effort and resources are at. But incredible question.
Well, you just literally described THORChain in February. I mean,
Yeah,
there was all kinds of
exactly.
negative press about Bybit. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know if you guys talked about it or not. Um, but yeah, it's not the press we want, obviously. But I mean, you know, if you really break it down in the true philosophical, you know, hardcore first principles sense, it is good advertising for THORChain that happened, right? You know, it's that, you know, that saying, criminals use it, you know, it works type thing. But it's still not the, you know, we don't want to have to get onto that's the way we promote THORChain, right? That's not right. Um, but unfortunately, you know, it's just like the grocery stores or highways, you know, the people we do bad things use them too. So I'm curious then, how do you structure the logic on where you route trades? And do you first default to the dexes like THORChain? And then if, you know, if you can't place the trade there, then you route to the changellies and stuff like that? Or are you just looking for the cheapest route?
We just like yeah, really, really good question again. The default route is so like there is no on-chain privacy component of HoudiniSwap as it currently exists. So we have the on-chain piece, which is like traditional Radium, Jupiter, dBridge, Mayan, Uniswap, Aerodrome, Cetus, Kodiak. Like there's that part of our business, which is just like the full on-chain side of things that doesn't have privacy. That's just for like traders, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then there's the privacy piece, which is only routed through centralized exchanges. So, so that's the options that users have. And yeah, it is fully, when it comes down to which provider that we use under the hood, it's all a product of our algo, just mapping for price to speed ratio. So as lowest as we can get for the end user.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
go ahead, Quentin. What were you
Oh, I
gonna
was
say
just
about
saying,
Roche?
so, yeah, so how many tokens do you support roughly, do you think?
Oh man, I think it's 7.5 million route combinations, 100 plus chains. Like we can, yeah, dude, we have some pretty like abstract offerings. You know, like you can go, like it's awesome, right? Like when meme coin, like when on chain season was fully underway, right? Like this is like, I'm talking like, you know, Trump pump era, like November to call it like January, right? We wanted to give users, like, you know, like we shifted away from privacy for a hot second and wanted to just give give users this offering of any token on any chain to any token on any chain. So you could go Brett on Base to GigaChad on Sol to Sundog on Tron to, you know, Bitcoin on a centralized exchange to, you know, USDT on ARB to USDC on ETH, like all on HoudiniSwap, like all the way around the world, like whatever, you know, whatever token you like, breaking down all these barriers of chain. And I kind of just, yeah, mentioned this example earlier, but we just wanted to give this currency exchange experience where it's like you have Canadian dollars, you want US dollars, you know, to yen, to pesos, to Australian dollar, to Swiss franc, like whatever, you know, whatever you're looking to get, you could get it at HoudiniSwap. And then, and so that like this, so that interop piece was really important for us to build. The unfortunate reality of that, as I'm sure you guys know, is that like 90, you know, now fast forward to today, like 95% of the on-chain volume is happening in four ecosystems. Like it's, you know, it's Base, it's Binance Smart Chain, it's you know, it's Solana, and it's like, and it's Hyperliquid. So it's like that multi-chain thesis, that interoperability thesis hasn't really panned out as much as we would have hoped. And I'm sure you guys can maybe share some of the, you know, some of your like cross-chain findings, um, but but yeah, like it was really sick tech to bring to crypto at the time, like any token on any chain to any token on any chain. Not have to go to Jupiter for Solana, not have to go to Aerodrome for Base, not have to go to centralized exchange for Bitcoin, you know, not have to like this for that and this for that, and you have 20 tabs saved and, you know, 40 wallets written down on a notebook and all this crap. Like it's just, you know, we want to just have it all honed into one place and give this marketplace, you know, Amazon kind of vibe, which we did. So yeah.
Yeah, I can. Did you want to jump in, Patriot, or do you want me to? I can comment on this cross-chain question.
Keep going, man. You're good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, I hear you what you're saying, that there's only, or the majority of volumes is between, you know, a few chains type thing, and it's THORChain has recognized that, and that's for like like even in the beginning, like some people are thinking THORChain should just be Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stablecoins, and that's it, and not do anything else, because that's like, you know, Bitcoin and Tether is like, you know, that's like the biggest pair in the world, right? But in my opinion, it's a little bit short-sighted in the sense that, like, I think the reason the cross-chain flows between a bunch of different chains aren't large is because the rails haven't been there. You know, it's like we have all these towns that are isolated, and it's like, why is nobody going from New York to Los Angeles? Well, you got it because you have to take a boat on the Atlantic, go down to Nicaragua, get on a, you know, horseback carriage, go across land, get on another boat, go to the Pacific, you know, go up to California. Like, it's a pain in the ass to do the journey. And then when people put in railroads, well, that connected all these towns, and you had much more vibrant activity, right? So in my mind, the rails just haven't been there for all these, you know, different cross chains to go, these different chains to go between each other. So, you know, I wonder if it's kind of like supply side economics type thing. Like, if you build it, they will come. And that's been kind of my view, that you know, because we've only had these centralized exchanges to use, which in my view is limiting. If we have a true decentralized exchange offering like THORChain, where we, you know, it is permissionless, anyone can use it, we'll get true discovery in what that real demand is, and it'll just take time, right, for people to learn about it, understand it, use it. I think it's still natural that we're going to have, you know, vast majority of volume is probably going to be within, you know, several different blockchains, but I would think that there's going to be more of a natural distribution. and you know, we get it'd be a bit more averaged out, if you will. So
Yeah.
for me, this is what's great about. Oh, sorry, I'll finish quick. What's great about the will and THORChain right now is there is a push now to add as many chains as possible, and we'll find out. We'll, you know, which is true or not.
Yeah, I share I share a lot of that same ethos. Like honestly, like I agree to like somewhat. You know, I would say that like there was a point in time, you know, in our trajectory where there were chains approaching us saying, "Hey, we'll give you XYZ dollars or whatever it is, right? Like we'll incentivize you to be the privacy layer of AVAX or the privacy layer of Arbitrum or like whatever it was, right? Or like the privacy layer of Polygon." And it just felt like such a technical bet, right? At the chain level. It's like, hey, come build your like incredible restaurant in New York City, right? But it was very unclear that we were building it in New York City, right? Like maybe Solana would have been the right choice now, but keep in mind that like we didn't know Solana was going to be like the winner take most alt L1 of ETH, right? So we'd rather be this aggregator where we can support any, you know, and just again, like you mentioned, be like this railroad and like have the rails to connect all these chains together. So that's the first point. I also just say like crypto, like right now, unfortunately, like the chains are struggling. The chains are really struggling to compete. And like outside of like the poly markets of the world and like the hyperliquids of the world and like, you know, like the Solana trenches, like there's just not the, you know, like there, and like, you know, like CoreDAO has like BTC Fi and staking and cool stuff like that, but like the what's missing is like the application, like truly the application layer to get at least retail, right? Like it's a bit harder to understand what the institutions are looking for, but at least from a retail perspective, you know, they're looking for applications that they can use and that they love and that they enjoy. And you know, you look at the success of Polymarket, it's like, you know, that's like that is Polygon, like, you know, like it is Polygon, and Jupiter is Solana, you know, and Pump Fund is Solana, um, you know, and so it's just, and you know, and Binance, like BSC, right, has the distribution of the centralized exchange, and you know, and Pancake Swap, and like this whole ecosystem, you know, like heavily Asia centric community too. So you know, Tron, right, like it is the USDT chain, like for most Asian communities, like it's the highest supply of USDT stablecoins. So it's you know, it's it's also like, it's as much as it's on the rails, it's also on the chains to compete and provide, you know, an offering that's just like that's outside of like these general purpose L1s or L2s, right? Like it just um it's so yeah, so I agree with you in some part. I'll just say the other part that's missing is like the reasons to go to Los Angeles, right? Like it's great, like, but like it's unclear what the reason to go from New York to LA is. Like it doesn't, you know, like that piece has to be solved just as much as the flight to get there. Like as I'll sum it up with that.
Well, yeah, I agree. Well, but let's drill down. I view like a poly market is more like a secondary application. Like the primary application has always been banking the unbanked, you know, privacy, you know, getting out of TradFi. And so this is where like this is what sucks is I think, you know, nowadays I'm not saying you, by the way, but nowadays in crypto, it's a bit watered down with people who don't really get that, or you know, or don't really appreciate the importance of that. But that's what started got this whole movement going. And like, I'm sure you've seen the memes about, you know, Bitcoin holders today versus 10 years ago. Um, and so I do feel like it's a bit sad. Like, it's like crypto isn't cypherpunk anymore. Like all the news cycle is all about, you know, the Bitcoin ETFs and the treasury companies and, you know, that sort of stuff, which I good. But it's more like number go up type news. Whereas, you know, the whole point, that the real application for crypto is the unbanked and like the global south. And so I still like to think that's alive and is happening. Like we had, I don't know if you know Yusuf, you know, he's the guy behind, what was it? Started with a P. I forget what Paxful. And then now he's starting No Ones. And he's saying like in Nigeria and like it's just in the global Africa in general, like crypto is just going off like gangbusters because they need it. Like it's a real life application for them where they need crypto for a bank to transact. And sucks with the West is I feel like Westerners are going to be the last really to really get into and grasp crypto because they don't really need it, right? We're all satisfied with our current banking solutions, and really need an alternative. Unless you've been in crypto long enough and you've been debanked personally, which I have. I've had 4 different banks close accounts on me now, and it's an eye opener, you know, that how little control you have and how weak or exposed, when the right word is, like how little power you have if you can't bank in our traditional banking system. Like you are screwed. It's a really stressful experience. But unless you go through that, you don't know you need it, right? So I don't know. I'm sure you agree with a lot I'm saying. I'm curious
Yeah.
what your thoughts are there about kind of what I wanted to say is like the real application of crypto is getting outside of TradFi and create systems. So what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, man. I've been in the space for like, almost a decade now, and so I do share a lot of those like just like those Web3 fundamentals as you do. Like I definitely come from that school of thought where like the adoption, at least as it initially set out, was to bank the unbanked for sure. Like, like in the West and like, in parts of the globalized economies, like it's not as clear what the need for crypto is. Whereas like you go to places like Turkey, right, and like you put money into your bank or like the local currency, which is the lira, and it gets hyperinflated, and so your $100,000 that you put in today is now worth $20,000 on Friday, and so you cannot trust your banking system, and so we needed to create a trustless banking system, which is effectively what crypto was like. That's its ethos, that's its OG ethos, I think. Like, so the application is crypto itself, right? It's an alternative asset class that is global by design, permissionless, borderless by design. I do definitely like agree with all those things you mentioned, and then obviously, privacy is just fundamental to scaling this, right? Like to scaling this dream, which is why we built HoudiniSwap in the first place. So 100% agree. Like when it comes to the West, I'm in Canada here. Like there is, and like we're seeing a lot of this in the U.S. right now with like this gold and like gold and like the overall debasement trade and inflation, like in real dollar terms, right? Like people are up, you know exorbitant amounts on their stocks, right? Like their traditional stocks, like the Magnificent Seven, right? But once they convert it back to US dollar, net of inflation, right? Like your 25% gain is now eroded to a very nominal, like single digit gain once it's brought back into US dollar terms. And so it's like it's great for your asset portfolio to be up 25%. Once you convert it back into US dollar, and like you're eroding your return. And not only that, but then once inflation kicks in, the purchasing power is lessened. So it doesn't matter if you're up 25%, if your groceries are up 30, or your haircut's up 35, or your rent is up 45. It doesn't matter how well your Nvidia is printing. Like it so like that's why people are rotating to things like gold and like as this store of value. But again, like people don't, like gold is a very like kind of boomer type of asset class to ape into. Like the kids that are going into their first year of university, like they're growing up in an entirely Bitcoin era, right? Where like that is the reserve currency of this next gen, which is Bitcoin. So I think like even in the West, while they can trust that they can put 100 grand into, like into JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley, or like whatever it is, whatever bank they're a part of, while they can trust the bank, there's this movement of like not being able to trust government and having monetary policy basically just like dictate your purchasing power of the asset that you've worked your ass off to obtain. And then like so just like one, and so like that's more of the West. I'll share just like one really quick like kind of ridiculous story. Is like, so I'm Canadian, and I tend to like do a month or at least like 6 weeks of during the winter. The Canadian winters are extremely treacherous. They are very, very cold. So a lot of people try and go down to the south, like places like Florida or wherever, to escape the Canadian winters for however long, right? So I tried to book this rental property. This was like 3-4 years ago now, and the lady that I was negotiating with, she had asked me to put down a deposit for the rental, right? And so I was, and all the rails that she had, like that she was accepting as payment for the deposit, were unavailable to Canadians, and like she was like, okay, send me a Zelle Pay, or send me a Venmo. And I was like, I don't, like, these aren't available to Canadians. Like, and this is our closest like allies. This is our, like, they're like, we border the United States, obviously, right? So I was like, how the hell am I gonna get this lady money? And all I'm thinking about in my head is like, I could send this lady crypto in the snap of my fingers, like while at the bar with my buddies, or while like sitting on the toilet, in 2 seconds, for a fraction of the fees, and all would be good in this world. And that's just Canada to US. I was like, imagine I'm trying to book a place in Portugal, or like somewhere that's not our closest ally. And so what I had to do was I had to go to my bank. I had to set up an American bank account that took 7 business days to get open. I had to put not only the amount that I was going to send her for the deposit, but I had to keep like $5,000 of assets in the American bank account, or else I'd get these monthly fees, right? Like, it's like if you put in a minimum of 5K, then you get no fees. So I had to put 5 grand in this American banking account. Then I had to send her a literal, like, a wire transfer from that bank account, which took additional settlement days. It's just time, effort, money. Like, I almost lost the deposit, like the rental time, because she's like, I have other people that can pay me tomorrow. Like, it's just a shit show. And I was like, man, like, I could send this lady 1,000 USDC, like while on this space with you guys, and all would be good, and all would be good. And so it's just like, it just blows my mind, like, that these things are kind of just the way they are. And so, yeah, I just thought I'd share that quick little, like, and that's just Canada to US, right? Like, I can't even imagine if I had like relatives in Europe or Southeast Asia. Like, it's just, how the hell do you get assets from A to B securely? And that was just like, that just opened my eyes to, like, man, like, this is just such a broken system. For everyone wondering, like, oh, why don't you just use PayPal? It's like, yeah, I could have used PayPal, but that's 3% on the in transaction and then 3% on the out transaction. They know that they have you know, like they know that they cover those types of payments, and there's just like they just fleece you. So I was like, this is crazy. So anyways, man, hope I didn't put everyone to sleep with that story. But yeah.
No, dude, you've got Canadians in here. I see 5 Canadians, including you two. So yeah, no, you definitely had the attention of other people. You know, you said something very interesting earlier. You know, you were talking about how people like before, right? In order to swap and do things before, you had to open like, you know, 10 different tabs and go to this protocol and that protocol and things like this. Is so complex. I think what's really cool, and I think it's going to take me a while to rewire my brain, is that the people, because of the things that we are collectively building, we are removing all this. We're abstracting this all the way. There is still very few people in crypto and when relative to the world's population. And we're now getting to the point, particularly as Kenton mentioned earlier, that THORChain wants to go like derp mode and add as many chains as possible, right? Where people are going to come into this industry and if they have this asset and they want that asset, they're going to be able to do that, just straight layer 1 swaps, right? And what you said, Houdini, was very, very, I totally agree. I've said this many times. You know, it's not going to get mass adoption until we see actual utility for the average person. And Kenton alluded to, you know, Africa and, you know, Nigeria and other places where this is actually absolutely intrinsic to their survival, you know, to get banked, to have a economic infrastructure that they can use. And, you know, we have things that are building when you have decentralized liquidity like THORChain, you know, we have many point of sale applications like Mocha, where it's not only it's not only faster and better, but it's much cheaper than the conventional systems, right? And then right now we have our crypto can actually do things where, you know, using THORChain, using my protocol, and maybe some other providers, crypto can be used as a settlement layer to buy goods and services. And because you don't need to pay the margins to these MasterCards and other and Visa and all these other companies, you can actually offer a price premium to your customers. And it's no KYC and it's free to download and start using. You only pay fees, you know, to what you generate. This is exactly, it's coming, man. I feel it so strongly. When people learn that they can save money, just like you with PayPal, right? You don't want to get fleeced. You don't want to spend that. So I really think adoption is getting here. And then when the word's out, when businesses start offering special promotions to people who pay with crypto, and when people learn, like, you know, you guys know this well. Kent was talking about being debanked. I've gone to the bank in just 5 figures. I wanted 5 figures, right? Oh, you can't withdraw that. It's too much money. We don't got it. We can only do, you know, 3 grand or 4 grand or whatever it was. I don't remember. These days are coming. It's coming to an end. This infrastructure that we live in the fiat world is obsolete 100%. The day is here. It's coming. I'll kick it to you, Houdini.
Yeah, I love when these like, you know, TradFi figures like you know, Peter Schiff and like these, you know, these like gold maxis go on like CNBC, and they just talk about like, you know, they love like it's like the biggest buzzword, right? It's like no intrinsic value of Bitcoin, right? Like it's backed by nothing. It's all just perceived value, and all the early whales just like Ponzi'd it to other people so like they could have exit liquidity. And to me, it's just like it's just such a flawed debate, right? Like there are input costs to mining Bitcoin, right? Just in the same way that there are input costs to mining gold. Okay, so like if there's input costs, that means that there's going to be output costs, right? So it's like that there's intrinsic value, number one. And number two, I love what you mentioned. It's like I I'm able to book flights to Token 2049, or I'm able to buy, you know, MasterCards, prepaid, you know, debit cards, whatever it is, with my crypto assets today. Like now, I'm able to go into high-end luxury retailers and you know, and car dealerships and use crypto as a method of as a medium, as an exchange of value. I'm able to go to places across the globe where Bitcoin is legal tender. We just tend to look through this bubble of where we like a product of our environment, and look and only through that lens. Like in Canada, yes, we have these like ETH Foundation routes, and like, you know, there is crypto legacy here, but like there is no like immediate force of like this reason to buy crypto, whereas like I then go to places like Dubai and I'm ordering like food delivery through crypto. You know, I'm paying for so many things like via crypto rails. And it's just like you just have to kind of change your perspective a little bit. There's a reason like El Salvador, right? Like Nayib Bukele, like he's like one of the one of the goats in like revitalizing that economy, and he did it all on the back of crypto being legal tender there. So you can take taxis in crypto. I don't understand this. There is no intrinsic value to Bitcoin piece. I would say like it's completely analogous to gold. There are input costs. There's miners in gold. There's miners for Bitcoin, right? Like, you know, like nobody can hold like bricks of gold at their apartments or go pay for their lunch or their Uber ride in a brick of gold. Like it just I don't get the thesis. So maybe I don't know if you guys have a counterpoint to that. I'm curious to hear, but I do have to jump fairly shortly. But yeah, I think that's like I don't know if you agree. Hope you do, but yeah.
No, I hear you, man. Just want to say I'm from Alberta. Calgary's home for me. Um, and but talking about your experience renting the place in the U.S., in my mind, that's going to be the application in the West is stable coins. And you know, just like you mentioned, Venmo and Zelle and PayPal and whatever, that eventually we'll start using stable coins in an app like that. And because it's cross border and whatnot, all that kind of stuff, I could see stablecoin payments just getting easier and easier and more common, especially like I think the Fed, U.S. Fed, is gonna like use stablecoins as a way to bail out the government, right? That's their new buyer of treasuries. So the U.S. government is going to want to pimp stablecoins all over the world. And you guys probably saw, I forget, some Fed governor, somebody said something about making it for stablecoin issuers to have like a direct line to the Fed to avoid like banking licenses or something like that. Yeah. I know I'm not getting it right, but I think if you guys saw the news, you know what I'm talking about. But basically, they want to make stablecoins as easy as possible. Is my thesis for people to create and to use. And in my opinion, that's going to be the application, like the Trojan horse of getting crypto into the West, is just being able to use stablecoins. And if you want to use them, you're going to have a crypto wallet. You may not know it's a crypto wallet, but you're going to download your app that has, just like your Venmo app, and you're going to start using it. And once you've got that wallet with stablecoins on it, to me, that's the bigger leap, going from not having that app to then having it. Once you have it, it's a small step for that app to integrate HoudiniSwap and and have other tokens available in that app. And so once people are sitting in stablecoins, they're like, okay, in my app now I can buy these other tokens, right? And it's in my opinion, it'll be easier for them to make that step. And so I'm curious, going down that vein, like I feel like there's going to be point of sale apps for people to be able to spend and receive any type of crypto they want. And I'm curious if HoudiniSwap, like, are you thinking along those lines, like that you'd want to be integrated into a point of sale app or convert to one at some point, so that if a user wants to use whatever crypto they want to buy something, and the business, they want to be able to accept whatever crypto they can, but they only want to settle in a specific one. They need some kind of exchange to do that. Have you guys thought about trying to be those rails, going down that route?
Yeah, 100%, man. There's been a lot of we haven't been like, we don't have the relationships with like you know, the Starbucks of the world, the Airbnbs, you know, like these, you know, like the Shopify's, like any of that. We don't really have those B2B relationships. But what we do have relationships with are the people that are like the BitPays of the world, you know, and like the Travalas of the world, that are like actually that do have those relationships and are building the like the e-commerce and the point of sale tech. So there's been a few that have reached out to us asking for our API to plug it in directly, and like just as I mentioned earlier, like I would love to envision a world where it's like, you know, like just like a private toggle where it's just like, you know, check out privately or send privately, or you know, pay for your flights privately or pay for your Airbnb privately, as an extension of just like, you know, like paying USDC. It's like pay USDC privately. So we're working on a lot of those type of integrations as it currently stands, um, but it's with the actual like e-commerce payments providers directly, not necessarily like the the end client or the end users directly. But yeah, man, we're super focused on that. I think like to your point about stablecoin adoption too. Again, like for the government to really adopt this type of asset class, it has to be private. Like it just stablecoins will not scale. Like you mark my words, if there's one, you know, thing to like, you know, quote me on in 5 years we get on another one of these spaces, it'll be true, is that like stablecoins will not scale without privacy. Like it's just not going to happen. And so the ability, you know, of HoudiniSwap's tech as it currently stands to send stables, you know, send, swap, bridge, receive, you know, all the core functionalities of transactions, to be able to do that privately with stables right now, is absolutely table stakes for stablecoin adoption to grow. There is no company that in the world that will pay their suppliers, that will pay their shareholders, that will pay their employees, that will manage their treasury, that will invest with their treasury publicly on public ledgers. Like it just, can you like, that would just be completely insane. The only use case I would love to see of that as a Canadian is, you know, having the Canadian government paste all of their transactions on a Canadian ledger, so I can see where my 53% tax goes to. That would be lovely. But at the at the private enterprise, private business, you know, level, there's just no way that that governments and, you know, that institutions and you know, and businesses will transact in a public fashion. It just obviously doesn't make sense. So so yeah, we're here to scale stable coins as well, and that's why we, you know, we actually partner with Plasma to help them kind of realize that future as well as is being able to transact privately, and partnering with XPL on their push towards stablecoin adoption and the importance of doing these things privately. So yeah.
I agree with you, man. That makes sense. I've actually been reading posts and ideas that just blockchains in general, like the idea of a public blockchain several years from now will be, everyone will think it's crazy. Like what were we thinking having all this data public? Like we need to have privacy. Well, dude, let's have you back in 5 years. Let's do it. Let's book it.
Absolutely, 100%. 100%. No, I think you know what? This has been an awesome space, and I know you have to go soon, HoudiniSwap. I really want to thank you for your time. You've been very generous. And again, I want everyone listening here, please follow HoudiniSwap. Let's reward them for their generosity, and they clearly share our ethos. This is a great protocol. You know, they are definitely on our side, and we're aligned. And again, HoudiniSwap, highly recommend checking out what we're building over there. On the Ruggiero and app layer side. And, you know, we're adding all kinds of new assets. So hopefully, you know, we can even help streamline your process of privacy, making it just a direct layer one swap, you know, and making that time much faster. So we have a better execution time for your customers because, you know, Kenton says this all the time, you know, the outbound delay on THORChain is one of the worst customer, it's not a good customer service experience. It isn't. And so, you know, we would love to see if we can do that to help you. So absolutely. I want to, again, if anyone's listening to the recording, go to HoudiniSwap right now. Follow them. You are being told to do this. I'm pointing my finger at you. Do it. They're great. I'll kick it back to HoudiniSwap. I know you have to go. Is there anything else you want to leave with us? Any parting words or anything like that?
Yeah, no, man. I just like shout out to you guys in incredible space. Like I always love bantering about crypto. It's definitely like my passion. So it doesn't feel like, work joining this on a Saturday at all. And yeah, man, kudos to what you guys have built. It's obviously nothing short of remarkable as well. And just for everybody on this call, like like I know how it seems, like a privacy project, potentially a new one for a lot of you guys, like it's you're there's a lot of trust that you're ensuing in myself to try out a new platform, but I promise you it's like one of those things that you'll be able to share with your friends and your groups, and something that you can be proud of. We've done 3.5 billion of transactional volume. We've been in the space for 3.5 years, never had a single dollar of assets lost, through and through. And, we recognize that we are, we're financial tech at the end of the day. Right. And it's not like we're an NFT drop or, like the latest, greatest pump and dump or a GameFi project, right? We're not like, it's not like, launching a Fortnite, right? Where you can launch season 1, it has a few bugs, you patch it up, here's season 2, everybody will check it out. Maybe a couple more, Easter eggs and there's issues, and season 3, it's perfect. It's like if somebody comes in to HoudiniSwap, puts 50K through one side, 50K has to come out the other side, like the other side, or else like full stop, project's done tomorrow. So like, please know that you can trust, this is a project that you can trust. We've been doing community spaces every Monday, every single Monday since the inception of the project. We've never missed a Monday, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, you name it. We've, and our whole vibe is, as much as it is privacy, it's transparency, it's honesty, it's doing things the right way. We're real builders in the space. And so, I get it. Like, I completely get it. I've been scared to try out new projects, because that's kind of just how crypto is. Projects are guilty until proven innocent. They're not innocent until proven guilty. That's just the nascency of the space. But I'm here. Like, you can DM us if you have any issues. We have full 24/7 real human customer support, real people, not AI bots or like Zendesk, like GPT generated responses. So yeah, man, it's whether privacy is important to you or not, it's a project that you can trust, and more importantly, we appreciate user feedback more than anything. So hit us up with what you like, what you hate. New users are always great for a fresh set of eyes on what we can be doing better. So that's it from me. But thank you guys. It's been an incredible space, and THORChain, you guys are the goats. So yeah, we'll chat soon.
Love it, brother. Thank you so very much. I hope you have a great weekend. And dude, rock star. HoudiniSwap's full of rock stars. Absolutely, bro. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay, take it easy. I'm gonna jump. Peace.
Hey, bye now. Bye, brother. Hey, Kenton. Do you have real quick? I know HoudiniSwap, they dropped. Do you have any? I know we just had a space. Thursday, obviously, but did you have any update or anything like that you want to say on your end, or are we pretty good?
No, yeah, we can talk actually. And again, guys, I'm really sorry missing the first hour. I'm just like this. I'm a bit of a baby with jet lag, and I just got back from Australia. I'm like, I'm not going to bed until like 5 in the morning, and then I gotta like set an alarm to get up, and I just totally spaced on setting my time. But I do. So I guess I do some alpha for anyone who's actually held on this long. The front end should be hopefully by Monday, by Wednesday, the next few days type thing. Should have DEX aggregation and some new wallet support. So there's been the website, the swap interface has been static. If like I don't almost a month now, I think, right? I don't think much has changed, but that's what the devs have been working on quite a bit, is getting DEX segregation done, and then we should have a few more wallets like Keystore, for example, and so hopefully that'll be live here in the next few days. Please play with it. Any little, doesn't matter how small or nitpicky your comment is, submit it, please, to the email address on the site. You know, we want our community to use it and troubleshoot it, and then so that, you know, when we're really broadcast it to the world, it's good to go, right? So everyone keeps asking me, you know, when marketing. We are doing it. It is moving forward. Like I'm writing Reggie hard, and but we're just putting the base layer, like the foundational stuff, to get that going. And so one of the things I do want to start doing now is using the THORChain Twitter account to do some pay-per-click, to like send a message out to our audience that the swap interface, it's live, it exists, it can be used. Go use it. So think of this like a soft opening for a restaurant. You know, you're open for like a week or two before the grand opening, and you just invite your family and friends to come over, and you know, the people, you know, they're going to be patient with you. They want to see you succeed. You know, they're not going to be too hard on you. But to help you iron out your processes and your kinks, right? So view the rest of this year, next couple months, as like a soft opening for the swap interface, where we want our community to use it, troubleshoot it, you know, we'll get it dialed in, and then you know, more features will be coming out throughout the rest of this year, and then then come the new year, everything should be done. Our community's been using it. You know, we've got all the bugs ironed out, and then we can spend more money and real effort on, you know, getting that message out to the whole world and trying to get new users and stuff like that. So, so you know, and trust me, guys, I want to get this moving as fast as we can too. But we got to go in steps. I don't want to, you know, start spending all this money to try and push the front end to the whole world, only for them to come and then be disappointed, right? Or come and have problems, or come and this sucks, and they leave and never come back. So I know perfection is a form of procrastination, but still not aiming to be perfect here. I think we just got to do this in a stepped approach. So but yeah, any of you guys have held on this long, there's your alpha for you. The next few days, we should see much more functionality on the swap interface.
Hasn't been that long. We're only about 2 hours deep. You know, we've gone 4 or 5 hours before, Kenton. So these kids are okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's great. And you're right, man. You want, if we're going to be pushing the interface, we got to make sure it's good. So guys, please test it out, use it. It's only going to help Kenton and us ultimately be successful, right? Because with our own interface, right, we're going straight to the consumer. There are no middlemen or anything like that. It's just, you know, we're not losing any flow here. This is direct THORChain access. And that's exactly what we need. So yeah, good job, man. I know you've been working really, really hard, and I know these guys out here, they understand that. So good job. We do have a speaker up here, Rio. If you want to go and check your mic, if you've got a question or got something for us.
Hey, mic check. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I hear you just fine. Go ahead.
Yep.
Okay, great. Hey, thanks for bringing me up. Good space as always. I got on a little bit late, but I've used HoudiniSwap, and I noticed it routes through Binance. So with the integration of Monero coming, I mean, it just makes sense to not have to go through a centralized exchange for your HoudiniSwap. Just go right through THORChain. Did you guys address that?
Yeah, we talked about that early on, you know, because we are adding Monero. You are right. We're going to try you know, hopefully if everything goes well with the new library and all that stuff, you know, I understand, but you guys know how dev stuff is. Q1, Q2 next year. Let's hope. I mentioned that more than once, actually, right? Because they have to go. It's kind of like what they have to send these XMR to like a centralized exchange, and from there, you know, it's like an obfuscation thing. But with HoudiniSwap, right, they could just go straight layer 1 to layer 1 XMR. Of course, you know, you told them, you got to tell them, you know, it's still, that's going to be on, it's going to be public, right? They would want to then swap, not swap, send to another address again, but it's much more efficient to do it that way. And I actually wonder that, I'm not an expert, I wonder if we could add that complexity way, if you could, you know, make the swap on THORChain and then it goes to a wallet, and then from there it goes to another wallet. There's probably a whole layer of complexity there, just to streamline that process so it's simply one action for real privacy. But yes, I definitely mentioned that, Rio.
Yeah, it just, I mean, you got a man in the middle with the exchange, you know, that can
Right.
cut you off any point in time, and it can go down or whatever. It just seems like they would jump at that, like, oh man, you guys doing Monero? Let's work everything through your exchange, you know.
Right. And Kenton's point about, you know, using these centralized services and getting frozen, that, you know, that happens a lot. It's just unacceptable to have the infrastructure where people have the ambiguity of, will I have my funds frozen because somehow, some way, through some arbitrary means that's beyond my control, some funds from the DPR case sort of touched or commingled with mine, right? It's ridiculous. You were going to say something there, Kenton.
Right.
Thank you.
Oh no, I was just going to agree. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Rio. I see it the same way, and that's my big hope with us THORChain adding Monero is that, you know, eventually, like in my big picture in mind, it's like that it brings this fungibility to Bitcoin, you know, and so that in theory, every payment app should be connected to THORChain and route Bitcoin through the Monero pool type thing. Kind of like you know, what Samurai Wallet was doing, right? They had the ability to go, you know, have all your transactions go through CoinJoin or whatever, you know, something like that. But Patriot, to bring up, you said, you know, is there something THORChain can do to make it streamline it on the protocol level? I'm actually a little bit against that, because this is how THORChain maintains plausible deniability, is that, you know, anyone's concerned about having Monero on THORChain, that we attract undue attention. If we're letting the obfuscation happen off of THORChain, then we still have that, keeps THORChain kind of isolated and protected, if you will, from any criticism. You know, if we, the more, right, and this is actually, I think, how they're trying to charge the Samurai dev, is that, I forget, now I'm forgetting, but it was like, you know, it's kind of like a made up charge, right? But it was something to do with how he was facilitating it and like promoting it, or something like that. You know, I forget. If anybody listening knows, or can look it up, you know, what were they actually, how did they actually charge him? And it was something to do with how he was like promoting, or I don't know, he was like going, like doing a bit more. The argument is that he was doing a bit more than just offering this service, I think. And so I wonder if the same would apply to THORChain, for example. Like if we just offer the route, but no more. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I concede.
Go ahead.
I'll let you go, Rio, in just a second. I'm sorry. Yeah, I totally agree. And actually, your plausible deniability thing, I actually concede the argument. I think you're right. And that's probably very smart to do. So you're right, and I'm wrong. So good job on that. Go ahead, Rio.
It just makes, you know, sense, a business perspective. They're paying, you know, Binance or whatever Coinly that they're to use their centralized exchange, when they can just go through THORChain and pay less fees. And then the other thing is, I don't know if you guys used it. It could take up to 3 or 4 hours, and you know, we've seen the exchanges go down, like just, you know, get taken off, and you can have your funds locked on there, and you could be screwed, you know. So yeah, I like them. I just don't. It doesn't feel very safe, you know, as opposed to THORChain when Monero integration. I have one more thing too. Multisig, man, I'm seeing a lot of multisig stuff on my timeline. Looks like marketing's pretty good. So I don't know if you guys have seen that, but I think the marketing campaign for them, they're doing a pretty good job. I see it all over my timeline.
They are, yeah. The whitelist is just days away. Go ahead, Kenton.
Yeah, no, me too. Well, they're using Cato, right? And I'm seeing all these new accounts talk about multi-sig. And Rio, do you understand what Cato is, how it works?
No, I don't. But I'm a big fan of Voltasig. I really am. I think that's huge.
Yes, me too. So Cato is like, how to explain it? It's like a it's a platform that keeps track of influencers. But it kind of empowers anybody to be an influencer. And so what Voltisig did is they signed up with Cato and give them some, the Voltisig, word or tag or whatever. And then Cato starts tracking any comments on Voltisig on Twitter, on social media. And then in Cato, then aggregates all the data, and they create a leaderboard, who's talking the most about Voltisig. And obviously JP, he's at the top of the list. He's got like 10% of the mind share type thing, which I believe means like 10% of all the views and likes and reposts about Voltisig originate with JP. And so what Cato does is they take it a step further, and that they're incentivizing people to post, because if you get on this leaderboard and you're in the top 10 or top 20, or in Voltisig's case, they've made it the top 300, you're going to get a reward. And so Voltisig, what they did is the top 300 people, top 300 on the leaderboard on Cato, they're going to get a whitelist spot. And so this is why you're seeing all this posting, basically because you have people farming the leaderboard, or trying to get onto this whitelist. And so that's why you're seeing this flood of content. And so it'll be really interesting to see how it works, how it goes, because the idea is to try and get the message out, right? And try and show up on everybody's feed so that everybody will buy the token launch, right? And I've had a few people in my DMs bugging me about Cato, SocialFi, I think is another one. I don't know if that's the actual platform name or just the all-encompassing term, but to do something similar for THORChain. And so we'll see. I've heard people tell me it doesn't work that well. I've heard some people telling me it does work. I mean, we'll see how it works for Voltisig. But I think if THORChain is going to employ a campaign on Cato like this, I definitely think you'd have to wait till the new year, till where everything is done. And we don't have a token launch or anything like that, so it would have to be like, maybe we give away 50 grand or something. We have to think of some other prize, other incentive for people to post. But that's why you're seeing all this new Voltisig content online right now.
Yeah, I shared some things up top, guys, not only the Voltisig thing, but also from Hippocampus talking about, and I'll read it a little bit here. Time's almost up. Last days to fight for the spot on Voltisig launch whitelist before time runs out. That's a perfect incentive, right? People who are not on the whitelist, they want to be on there. They believe the project. And it is this incentive that incentivizes them not only push the project, right, but then they also might get rewarded for it. How this would be done, Kenton, on THORChain is very interesting. I'll think about it. But yeah, there'll be obviously a money thing, but maybe you wouldn't want it to be reoccurring, right? But the 50K, what would the 50K come from? Would it be a share of the protocol revenue itself, or that's it? I really want this interesting idea. I want to play with it a little bit.
Yeah, well, it would have to come from the marketing budget, right, or the treasury, or like I think it's got to be a finite time, right? It's like, hey, and this is another reason I think you're seeing so much content on multisig. It's only a 3-day window, so when you put a timeline thing, and the shorter it is, you force people to act, right? So I don't think having a 3-month campaign, that would I think you just get watered down. I think you do want to do it over a short time period. And I was thinking something like maybe TCY, that might be interesting. And then instead of having a lot of money go to, say, several people, maybe you could have, the leaderboard be, you could say the top 1,000 people, and then have TCY get distributed to, all of those people, right? And have it much more spread out, and it'd be a good way to promote TCY. And the problem is, if you do that,
Oh, Kenton, did you rug? Might have rugged.
Sounds like you rugged.
Yeah, I think what he was probably going to say, and because I don't know where the supply of TCY would come from, that maybe it would cause some sell pressure on the asset. Maybe that's probably where he was going with that. Again, I don't want to speak for him. We'll see if we can get Kenton back up here. But I think that's a good idea. I mean, if you look, he really rugged here. Here, let's approve him, get him back. If you look, it's very successful. What's going on in Voltisig here? So there is definitely a scratch that can be itched here. We can definitely employ this in some way. So absolutely.
Yeah, it got my eyes looking, at it, and I'm not, I just log into X every now and then, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of content on here. So I'm sure if it's doing, a normie like me, it's getting a lot of other normies for sure. Eyes on at least what Voltisig is. And the wallet,
Kenton,
the wallet is tits, man. It's tits. Like, it really solves a unique problem in crypto. Not having these seed phrases to worry about. That's big. If that can get to the normies, God, man, I hope it does.
Oh, oh shoot, he dropped again. Damn it. We were just talking about tits too. That's not good. We got to get him back up here. Yeah, I totally agree. It's, people getting rugged, and it's a simple argument, right? Like what happened to Bybit, if they had been using Voltisig technology, that would have not occurred. It would have been easily preventable.
Yeah.
100%. The pitch is of one of safety, and it's a great experience, and it's better than Ledger, and it's technically free if you have these devices just around your houses, right? You just wipe them, and and then you do it again. Okay, I got him. I'm gonna see if I can get him up. Yeah, let's see here. Kenton, you want to? I don't know if you're up or not. Let me invite him myself. All right, I invite him again. Gosh dang X, man. Kenton starts dropping bangers and they take him out. All right, I think you're up, Kenton. You want to check your mic?
Stupid spaces. Yeah, I'll just finish my thought. I think I heard you, Patriot, asking where the TCR would come from. But anyway, where I was going with this is, the downside of doing like a big promotion like that and airdropping TCY to people is that they're just going to dump it and sell it, right? They're not going to hold on to it. So I don't know. We have to play with it. But where would it come from? I would just ask, from the treasury, right? Can you donate some TCY for this campaign, or the marketing fund would just go and buy it and then distribute it to people, right? So, but it's just an idea, right? Don't take this is going to happen or whatever. I'm just sharing with you guys ideas that we are thinking about these things. We are brainstorming and what have you, right? So this is just conceptual. We're just I'm just throwing ideas out there for you guys. Different things we can do and try.
What if we had a whitelist where people bought TCY and they were on a list, and then the reward was actually in a stable coin? And if they bought TCY and they staked it, right, that might be a way. And that way we're not giving them something for free. They have to opt in via purchasing and getting involved in the RUNE ecosystem. And then maybe we give them some reward. Maybe that would work. I'm thinking about in real time. Maybe yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be more like a points program type thing, which is another thing. Which I do want to try. I think might be better. Because just going back to Cato, like that's just all about posting on social media, right? You don't have to spend any money, just your
right,
time and get reach, right? But as far as like using actual dollars on THORChain, I definitely want to we can do some kind of like trading competition, or you perform, you, like you said, you buy TCY, you stake it, you deposit in a liquidity pool, you bond RUNE. We can come up with all these different things you do on THORChain and then apply points to each one. And, you know, whoever gets the most points then wins some dollars, right? And so, and the idea is, sorry, let's finish quick. The idea is to like get people to use THORChain and introduce them to it, right? This is what Hyperliquid did. Anyone tells me Hyperliquid didn't do any marketing is like completely retarded. Hyperliquid did a ton of marketing because they had their points program, and they got everybody to use it and farm the points. And you know that's what introduced Hyperliquid to the world. So like THORChain we can do something like that. Have a points program. We have some, you know, and run that for a few months or type thing. So that's on the table. Like we're talking about this, guys. You know, we're thinking about it, but it's we're not there yet, right? We got to get the swap interface done, right? We got to get everything else in place, right, before we can. That's more like cherry on top type stuff, but we got to build the pyramid to get there.
I mean, you know, this really interesting idea. I'm thinking if you had a point system, what you might want to do, and again, I'm baking this in real time, so maybe I'll say something stupid here, but if you had like a whale, right, they could easily accrue enough points where it would be exclusionary to maybe people who are not whales. But if you randomize the winner list, like you had the first top 100 top spots, and maybe you had an increased percentage chance to win, like there was a guaranteed 2 winner, like if you had like 5 or 10 winners out of a group of 100, and there was going to be 2 guaranteed winners out of the top 10, but if you are at least in the top 100, you have a chance to win. Maybe that might work too. Just so it's more like
Yeah,
people
I
don't feel
think,
hopeless. I'm not sure. I'm thinking
dude,
about it in real time.
no, I do. I understand completely, and that's what I think about. I'm like, how do we set it up so that, well, one, whales don't, you know, overwhelm everyone else, but two, that we don't have just existing THORChain users overwhelm everyone else. Like the whole point of a campaign like this is to get new users, and you know, we could have our own audience just, you know, farm the whole points thing. So I'm not sure, but we don't. But at the same time, we do want whales, right? We do want, you know,
Right.
big traders coming to THORChain, right? So off the, you know, so this is why I'm saying, you know, it's something we have to talk about and figure out, right? And so one of the ways we can maybe try and make it only available to new people to THORChain is, you know, people have to register their Twitter handle, right? And so, you know, if you've already, you know, maybe we can tell or do some kind of deduction or something like that, that, you know, based on your followers, who you're following, whatever, you know, you're an existing THORChain user and you don't get to participate. So, you know, I don't know, right? It's a really, really good point, Patriot, really good question. This is something that all has to be hashed out.
Well, this is fun, right? Let's open it up, right, a little bit here. I mean, just not limit it between our IQs. Everyone's here's listening. I see the wolf. Like, if you guys think of an idea, or like tag me on X with your idea. Let's crowdsource it a little bit. Maybe you have a better conceptualization of how not only this can reward whales, because I think that should be rewarded too, but also have a chance to empower the little guy, the new entrant, to make them excited too. What are your ideas? Think about it. And tag me Patriot Sounds on X or Kenton or whatever, and or post it on the Telegram. You know, let's figure this out. You know, there's people listening to this, you're all super smart individuals. I think there's something here. I think the Volti-Sig success is definitely, it's got my attention, right? And your point, Kenton, about Hyperliquid having super successful marketing. I mean, this is what we got to do, right? If we empower individuals with proper incentives, we can really have a really something successful event that's going to make a lot of headway and repeatable.
Yeah.
And repeatable.
Yep. Yeah, I think there's lots of things we can do. It's just, you got to give me some time. Give us some time to put it all together. Yeah, the main thing is we got to get the swap interface done, right? We got to make sure it's all done. We have all the features, it all works, and that's just going to take a couple months.
Yeah, guys, please test out that web interface. If you haven't done it yet, I've made a swap on it. I didn't have any problems. You know, please just just try it out. And I know some people have given me suggestions. Please send it to the email as well. I know there's a Discord group as well. That's in the university Discord, right?
No, it's in THORChain Dev Discord.
Oh, I'm so sorry for missing it.
Is it channel called Front End?
My
And
fault.
no, that's good. But the email is better. At least it's all aggregated in one place, and they get the pop up, right. Whereas the front end, you always have to go, you have to go manually look at the channel type thing. But yeah, just even if it's just $20 trades, guys, just something, every little bit helps. And or if you're like, you're super cheap, you don't want to do anything, just connect your wallet. Just go click around. Do the links make sense? Like, click on the links in the footer and the header. Like when you start, you don't have to place a trade, but when you click around and if you click on the drop down to look for a token, like does it all make sense? Is it all working? And if we have hundreds of eyes on all different computers and phones all playing with it, it's we will hone in much quicker on any bugs.
Hey, I'd like to bring up too, rebranding to Freedom Chain. There, Patriots.
That'll be.
Come on,
well,
brother.
That was a good. I mean, I think it's a funny idea. There's, people came up with Prism. I know someone's came up with Bifrost. There's a lot of good things. But the thing about Freedom Chain, Rio, I will say, is that when you first say it, it's like, oh, okay. But then when you think about how others will interpret that, like Freedom Chain, given the state of the world where it is right now, where we see so many examples of censorship and various forms of tyrannical behavior around the world, Freedom Chain, I think it just hits the heart a certain way. I got to say, like, it makes a little butterfly in my stomach. And that is the ultimate ethos of everyone listening to this, right? Like, we believe in freedom. We are fighting for something greater than just our net worth to go up. I mean, we're literally fighting for our kids, our family, our friends, our own future, for society at whole, to bank the unbanked, as Kenton so eloquently said before. That's what we're trying to do. So I like that name, but maybe there's a better name. So that's just something that we kind of chat about in there. But
I
it's gonna
like
be a while
it.
before we rebrand.
I mean, I think maybe to get rid of some of the bad smell with THORChain, with a few of the issues, obviously like Rujira, right? Kuji, it rebranded to Rujira or Ruji, just to get rid of some of that stink that happened in the past. And why not with THORChain, and Freedom Chain? I mean, come on, it doesn't get any better than that, right? Especially when you see things are getting more restrictive around the world, right? When you got a blockchain that represents freedom, I mean that invites you, right? Like humans, we want freedom. Like we want freedom.
Right.
And
Can I ask you, Freedom Chain or Freedom Protocol? What do you like better?
I like chain. Protocols it's like TCP/IP protocol, right? It's like it didn't. It just a protocol, but a chain, right? A chain encompasses everything you can do within DeFi, et cetera, et cetera. A protocol, it seems specific, to whatever. That's how I see it. Freedom Chain.
Yeah.
It sounds stronger too. Protocol. I feel like I'm studying computer science again. Anyway, I like freedom. You guys should maybe put out a poll or something. But even freedom, but something like that. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. Sometimes it's hard to know when to start speaking. You know how it is on Next Spaces. I understand what you're saying 100%. And I think, what Kenton said in other conversations, and my thought as well, is, what THORChain is relative to 2021, we are a different animal. We are not the same thing at all. We have completely leveled up. But I think what we need to do is to make sure that Kenton, the interface, the thing we're going to market is solid, that our product is good, right? That we just take a little bit more time to bake these primitives. And then maybe at that point, once we're comfortable, and that's a hard metric to I understand this, it's arbitrary, but I don't think we're quite there yet. But then rebranding, I think, makes sense a little bit. But what do you think, Kenton? I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. I went over this on Thursday, but I'm happy to address it again. And I get every few weeks somebody brings up rebrand to me, and against it in theory in general, but I am against doing it right now. And the simple one right now is just resources, time and money. To do a proper rebrand, I think would take, low six figures, a few $100,000, and then, and it's going to take several months. And it's not as simple as just changing a name, right? We'd have to come up with a new logo, new colors, new website, we got to change everything, right? I would like to. I love the idea of freedom. That's why I'm in this too. I'm all about freedom. But I like you said, starting a poll, like we would have to do some market research, right? If we're gonna change a name, like heaven forbid we do a Cracker Barrel or Jaguar, right? Or X. Like I gotta hate X. It's such a just leave it as Twitter. Why did he have to change it? And maybe that's what we realized, that we don't really need to change THORChain, right? The name's good enough as is, right? But we should put some real actual research into that, because the last thing we need is a Jaguar or Cracker Barrel. It takes some time, right? And we don't have time. Time's not on our side right now. We need to get the swap interface going. We need to redo the homepage, the main website to funnel traffic to the swaps, and just do a light, refresh type thing. So we get things live, get things going. And then the other thing is too, I think changing the name and everything like right now, I think could come off, even if we came up with the perfect name that everybody loved, it still might not land, because I think it could be perceived as, like you mentioned, trying to run away from desperate, trying to get away from the negative press in the past. It would just be like kind of like be viewed as putting lipstick on a pig or something. Whereas if we wait, say 6 to 12, let's say 12 months, we've got limit orders, we've got memo lists, we've got Monero, maybe TCY is trading at $1. The synths are gone on the pools. There's no more leverage. We've got intents done. All these things are done, and THORChain is a completely and the app layer, all the Ruggiera's got all its smart contract stuff going. All the apps are live and they're working. We got perps done. We got the proper lending feature done. Like we have like THORChain 12 months from now will be literally completely different than it was even just 2 years prior to that. And in that time, we can rebrand, and it'll be totally justified, because we're not running away from bad press. We're running towards the new, the new protocol, right? Like trying to tell the world, hey, THORChain is completely different. THORChain is not the same anymore. This is why we're rebranding. This is why we're changing the name, because of all of these new things, right? So we're trying to tell the world that, hey, THORChain is not the same. Instead of telling the world we're trying to run away from our past. So, and then by that time, we should have by then we should have the time will be on our side and the resources on our side to allocate to a proper rebrand and going big with it. Like, right now we're going small because we have small dollars, right? And so, we're only going to spend like 20 or 30 grand type thing on redoing the site. But we could spend 200 or 300 grand, redoing everything, right? Have a real legit marketing agency help us, like go big, like I'm talking like Coinbase Super Bowl ad type big, you know what I mean? And a big project like that just requires more time and money. So I hear you. I agree with you. I just don't think now is the best time to do it.
You could have not said that better. You could have not said that better. And if you guys aren't pumped up by that, I don't know what gets you pumped up. We have a goal. We have a goal, you guys. We have to not only help get what are the first steps? The first steps is getting a product that's working on the interface. So testing it out. If everyone in here could do that, or anyone listening to the recording, please just test out, use it. And you know what, Kenton, you're so right. We got to have all this different primitives. We need the protocol needs to be doing like hundreds of millions, if not billions of swap volume daily. If we do that, and imagine some of those flows are going to the marketing budget as well, like we are a different animal. And then from there is no way anyone could accuse us of being desperate or trying to put lipstick on a pig. We are successful. We are providing the service. We do have product market fit, and it is time to level up with a rebrand at that point. That's the goal. I think that's the goal. I love that idea so much. And then, yeah, well, what else is there to say?
Well, and like, well, this is the thing too. So after those next several months, you know, we deliver. I think it's important for us to deliver on everything, right? There's so much talk, right? Guys, I'm the same as you. Like, when Solana, right? It's been going 2 years now, right? Like,
Yep.
we got to get, you know, we have all these really smart devs, really smart ideas, and I'm not dogging anybody, if nobody takes it that way, but you know, we do have to deliver, right? Get these things done, get them live, and then promote them, right? Because all that happens is you just piss people off, right? Oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. Oh, it's going to come out next few weeks, and then a few months go by and it's not there, and people just keep, it's like crying wolf, right? People just stop listening, right? So I think we have to get all these main features done. They're actually done. They're actually live. People can actually use them. Then we can really get behind promoting them, and who knows, like maybe come that time, the THORChain name is good enough, is still good, like, and we don't need to change it. Like, I think all this talk about changing THORChain is that RUNE is at 80 some cents. We're all, you know, we've all been pummeled, you know, we're all bleeding, we're all suffering, we're all down, and we're just trying to think, like, what can we do, right? We're like that, you know, that meme with the guy with the stick, you know, poking that thing, like, come on, do something, right? Like, we're all trying to think of things to do to get the RUNE price up. And I feel like, you know, changing the THORChain name right now is just kind of a desperate attempt to, like, just to try and get something moving. Whereas once it is moving, and if things are going well, will we have the same attitude that we need to change the name, you know, and change the brand? Maybe we don't need to. And this is something in marketing. Redemption arcs, redemption stories are a real marketing pitch. The humanity loves a redemption story, and like, this isn't just about marketing, but even like movies. I'm going to get a bit more. I'm going to tangent here on you guys. So if you study marketing and like how to sell products and stuff like that, like it really is about storytelling. And there's even a science behind storytelling. And if you Google it, I'm gonna, yeah, maybe try looking, if you're curious, look it up. But there's some guy in the 80s who basically studied all like historical stories, you know, stories that stood the test of time. And he found they actually follow like a similar pattern. And he was actually able to break it down that all these successful stories that humans are attracted to and love have like these 12 fingerprints on them. And it doesn't say to have all 12, maybe it only has 7 or 8 type thing, but it generally follows it generally has those fingerprints and follows them in a certain order. And Disney adopted this manual, and that's what they started, you know, all their movies had to fit this mold. And if it didn't, they didn't get made. And then they started killing it with their movies because they were following this. And so where I'm going with this is, like, a redemption arc is a story that gets told, you know, over and over again in human history. There's something about it that just humans like just jive with, right? They recognize with, like, you know, and they like the comeback story, right? And so this is something we can leverage with journalists and people trying to, you know, to get the story out about THORChain, is that like look at crypto. You know, anytime there's a problem, the crypto blows up and goes to zero. Like, what's the recent one? Like, it's Kadena or something. I can't remember.
Something like that.
Kadena? Yeah, what, didn't it go from like 20 billion to zero in like a day or something? Because the devs just like walked away and he's basically threw in the towel. Like, THORChain couldn't be more opposite than that, right? THORChain is the tank of crypto that no matter what gets thrown at it, it survives and keeps going. And you know, we turn this ship around We deliver on all our features. They're getting used. Room prices back up. Like that's a story for the media to latch onto and talk about. And then when they're talking about it, people, they hear that, they see that, and they identify with it. And like, yeah, this is, something I want to get on board with. Like, when you watch movies, the hero, the main character, everyone hates him. Everyone thinks he's a jerk or a loser or whatever. And he hits rock bottom, and then he redeems himself, and now everybody loves him, and he gets the hot girl and kisses her and all that kind of stuff, right? Like, THORChain's hitting bottom right now, right? We're so close to redeeming ourselves and kissing the girl, right? And if we change our name, we change who we are, we're starting the story over, story off when the hero hits bottom, right? Like that story sucks, right? Like you have to go through the whole thing, right? You want to see the whole movie from start to finish. You don't want to end it in the middle. So I think if we give the redemption arc a chance, it could actually work out really well for us. And then if all that, after all that, if I just said all that to you guys, if I'm totally wrong, right? It's still, there is no redemption arc for THORChain. No one cares. It's like we can't, then fine. Then we can rebrand, right? Then we can start the story over again and try something different. But I think there's still lots of legs left in the current brand before we have to try and change it to a new one.
My friend, I am so glad that I do spaces with you. That was just everything you said was great. What more can I say? It could go either way, guys. I love THORChain. I am THORChain in my heart. It is the human condition. We probably have all 13 or 12 fingerprints, whatever it is, of the story in here. We've made mistakes. We have endured. We have had shown signs of hubris. We have made every error you can make as a human, but we never stopped. We kept going. The redemption arc on THORChain is definitely a very incredible narrative. No one can doubt that. When you know what's happened, when you've actually been involved, as everyone listening to this has, you guys know what we've been through. You know how hard the mission was, and every time where we had node operators that just refused to churn out even when things looked dire, bleak. We had, illicit funds being swapped, but yet we had to hold on true to our principles that permissionless is above all the most important thing, and that we fixed the problem of centralized exchange, losing their assets. This is the ultimate story of just endurance. It reminds me of the Randy Marsh meme where he's all bloody and he's, I didn't hear no bell. It's amazing. I feel so much pride just doing spaces like this and seeing all these wonderful faces in the audience and being along with this journey with you guys. And promise I will stay long, and we're gonna go for it. So well said, my friend.
It's the hero's journey. I think like that.
Yes.
We're on the hero's journey, right? And that even like a 30-second commercial, I think they still try to like have like a mini hero's journey thing, and that's what like people resonate with, right? THORChain is definitely on it. Everyone listening right now, you are on it, right? And that's one thing to be cool to be around right now. Like, I'll meet people who are new to crypto and I just got into it, whatever, and they feel like they've missed out in the last 10 years and they're not cool or whatever. And I'm like, if you're still in THORChain right now, if you're new to crypto and you're in THORChain right now, like you've just catapulted yourself to 1% coolness. Like this is it. We're on the frontier. Like, and holding through this is like, no one can accuse you of being a bandwagon jumper, a couple of years from now. Because this is, holding on through times like this is what heroes do, right? And so like we are not in a bull market. This is if anything, we're like the bottom of a bear market right now. So we have a long way to go to turn things around. And any of you guys who are holding on and sticking through right now, like you're going to deserve the reward at the end of all this. And same with THORChain, right? This is what we're all doing, keeping going. Just the price sucks, but yeah, I think everything is being done really Like everything's moving forward, right? We're doing everything we can to turn things around. So yeah, I think there's lots to be proud of with THORChain. It's just honestly the only real, in my opinion, the only real bad thing was just THORFi, right? That's that's our everything else. I don't think there's it's not like it's not bad for THORChain. Any other perceived negative press. The only bad thing is THORFi. I think everything else is blown out of proportion.
And that bad perception is contingent on the success of TCY. And if we do that, and especially the TCY holders end up, if they had just held, made more money than selling early, I mean, you could not have a better narrative than that. Where not only did we make them whole, but if they keep holding, it's even more successful. They can make more money than the original exogenous asset that they lost. That would be an incredible accomplishment. I don't want to count, eggs or chickens before they're hatched or whatever, but that is, I think that is the goal. And yeah, that was well said, Kenton. Anyone in here listening to this, this is what it's like. This is what it's like to invest in something that's truly innovative and changes the game, right? It's not easy. It's not easy. It's treacherous. You're unsure many times during the day. You don't know what's going to happen next, but you believe in the first principles. You understand the mission and you know how important this is. And you just stick with it. You just stick through it all. Shout out to you all. And I am nothing. Kenton is nothing. We are nothing without the group of individuals that stuck it through. We had to do this together. We couldn't do this by ourselves. Go ahead, Kenton.
No, I was going to say, Finn Contrarian, he has some banger posts. And he posted yesterday some link to the number of developers working on THORChain. And I guess there's some website that tracks all the GitHub and GitLab posts and merge requests and all that kind of stuff. And so basically it creates a chart of the number of developers working on a protocol, the number of merge requests going through and updates, all that kind of stuff, and tracks it over time. And we're at the most number of developers working on THORChain ever. And over this last year, we've had it's gone almost vertical on the number of things being done on GitLab. Sorry, are we in GitLab or GitHub? I always get them mixed up. It was a show and I go there, but the actual devs working on THORChain and the actual code being written is up this year versus last year. So things are happening, right? And this is, the same thing with working on the front end doing marketing. Things are happening. We just don't see. It's going to be a while before you actually start seeing the results, but things are happening in the background, so that we can start showing you the results. And it's coming. It's happening.
Yeah, well said. The bones are strong. The first principles are solid, guys. That's what matters. And it's like a springboard, right? It's just how it is. I think we've got, especially with the enshrined oracles, guys, that was so amazing to see the performance of that. And it's only going to get better. I mean, you just can see it. Just tell me the weakness. Tell me where we're messed up. Yeah, we've got some lingering effects from THORFi. That's the past. We don't exist in the past, right? If you would live in the past, you cannot foresee the future, right? So we're full steam ahead. We're a go. So I love it. Well, we're coming on almost 3 hours, Kenton. 2 hours for you. But what else do you think you got, Kenton? I love this. It's been a great conversation. I love when the guest leaves and we just continue on and we have a banger conversation still. It's awesome. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to keep chatting for a bit longer if you want, or anybody else wants to come up. But at the same,
and chat, yeah, please. We don't care. Let's go.
Well, I was gonna say at the same time, maybe we should wrap it up. You don't think we need to force it to keep going?
I'm feeling spicy today, guys.
Yeah,
I feel good, but I always want to make sure.
You're Randy. You want to keep going? Yeah. All right.
If no one else wants to come up and speak, we'll end it, right? But if someone wants to come up and say their piece, this time's your time, guys. I always want to go out of my way to outreach to the community and have their voices heard if they want it heard.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a question. If you just have a comment or want to rant about something, absolutely. Yeah, a like to think we do a good job of that, you know, trying to keep this open for people. And I actually, we've talked a bit about, you know, not having guests come up, and so we can just keep you know, organize the space better. But I think our audience does a pretty good job of following the subject, the train of thought. You know, their questions and comments fit well. You know, so it's good. It's we haven't really, we've only had the odd person. It's been more the exception, not the rule, where we bring somebody up who just kind of derails the conversation. But for the most part, when people come up, it's constructive and it's great to hear from them, and always have great questions. So I hope if anybody's thinking, if you know, if you're a bit shy or nervous about coming up to speak or say something, like, don't, you know, if it's, you know, don't worry if you don't have to speak perfectly or have the best idea or whatever. Just don't go crazy on us. Yeah, feel free to come up. Yeah.
We have Scott up here. Scott, you were on the last one Thursday. How you doing? What do you got for us?
Oh, great. Just wanted to add a little bit to what Kenton was saying. The quick story, one of my favorite interviews with Gina Carano, she's a female MMA fighter. She's a little back in the day now, but a woman was asking her like makeup tips, like, oh, I started taking a martial arts class and I got a black eye. Can you tell me how to cover that up? And Gina got all mad. She says, no, wear that black eye. You know, you earned that black eye, wear it. Be proud that you're learning how to defend yourself and you're taking your hits. And I say, you know, why rebrand? Say, hey, look what we've been through. We're like a cat with 9 lives. Invest in us. We can't be killed. We're like a cockroach on steroids and we're always growing. And be proud of the lumps we've taken, because it's almost like saying with the hero story, we are human. You know, we have had to learn, but that's why we're so cool, is we've been through that process. Do you want us or some Johnny come lately who still has to go through that? And the other thing is, and this goes back, that was on another space just the other day talking about my excitement around this. It's the THORChain story, but don't forget, with all the things coalescing around us, you know, with Mocha and everything, it's not just our story anymore. We're part of an even bigger, more exciting story of the end-to-end, you know, everything stack that we're now partially building, but is also being built by our partners and stuff. And it's like, we're part of a bigger story too. So don't forget the excitement in being part of that and what's coming, that I think is going to take a lot of people by surprise because they're not tuned in. You know, maybe THORChain's off their radar, Rujira's off their radar, and all of a sudden the entire crypto, everything is on your wallet and we're part of that. And it'll be a 0 to 1 of just this, holy cow, what just landed? You know, I can't wait to see that and see the reaction to that. So even our story is getting bigger than, you know, it can't be contained by just one project anymore. How cool is that, to be here on the ground floor, seeing that come together and kind of knowing, boy, these people are going to see it. They don't know, but we do. Kenton, you're right. We are the cool kids. I just had to say that. Thanks, you guys.
No, it's great, Scott. Like, actually, I agree with you. You know, another analogy would be like, you know, if you get a bad haircut, you know, you put on a hat to try and hide it, and it's like, well, no, just own it and, you know, wear it. And like, it's actually your confidence is what women find attractive, right? It isn't, they're like, who is this guy? Look at that hair. Like, oh my God, look at his swagger, right? That's what gets them going. It isn't your actual haircut. It's how you own it, right? And exact same with the black eye. Like, great analogy. I love it. And because that's actually, I'll be honest with you guys, like, I could see us doing a rebrand, and it just, because there's so many different people from all different walks of life in THORChain, that it's not going to land. Like, and there's people, some people will be making fun of it and making the snide comments and whatever. And whereas really, if we keep THORChain, the name that everyone already identifies with, understands, it's like we're in like the depths of hell right now. Like, we're all at war, right? And we're all in the trenches together, right? And we come out of this, and we deliver, and THORChain does turn things around, and all these great things that the devs are working on and building, they're all excited about, and we all see them working, and the RUNE price is back up. Like, why would we want to erase that history, right? Like, you look at vets that have been to real war, like, they have a bond with each other that is just that no one else can have, right? They just have this unspoken understanding between them, and they're friends for life type thing. Why would we want to throw that away? If we have a new name and new logo, new colors, it's like erasing that memory of us going to war with each other, and being in the trenches. Like, why we want to? I don't want to turn that off. I don't want to forget it, right? Like, that's what this is what's bringing the community together, making us stronger, and getting us through this. So yeah, I don't think I love everybody's ideas with the new name and stuff like that, but it'd be really hard, I think, to come up with an idea that everyone resonates with, and where we don't lose our past, and we're able to keep it going forward. And there is something about the name that we just subconsciously all identify with, right? So I agree with you. Wear the black eye, own it. And that's trying to shy away from it, I think, just makes it look worse. Whereas if we own it and be proud of it, that makes you badass. That gives you respect.
I say that all the time, right? People come and you ask, they accuse THORChain Labs, yeah, we made mistakes. We were the first to try. What else you got? Yeah, we own our mistakes. We're not ashamed of our past. 100% agree. Real quick, Scott, did you go to Rare Evo by chance about a year and a half, 2 years ago?
In Vegas?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm about
I met you.
6'4", 260. Does that sound familiar? Brown hair.
Did you were talking with Alex about a potential gambling thing on or something like that?
Oh, it was
met
awesome.
You.
Oh my God, I remember you. You were at the booth.
Yeah.
No, I had this idea of doing, and the app layer didn't quite exist yet, but
right.
Doing an on-chain gambling thing, and then using the swap fees to actually as the profit, but having it be even odds, and then it would beat all the other gambling things. These are the crazy ideas I have, everyone.
Right,
so,
and the problem was we couldn't guarantee real randomness on the protocol, but with
entropy.
We can
that was what Alex said. We couldn't do entropy on the protocol. You'd have to build it on an app layer. You could probably do that on Jira.
Yes, we absolutely can. I asked that. You know what's so funny, Scott, is you asked that question, and that's what you probably didn't hear the conversation, but I followed up and say we can build this right? And they said, "Yep," because we have all the access to the data. I'm not going to explain it that well, but
yeah.
But dude, awesome! I thought I recognized your voice, and I'm like, I've heard this guy before. So, dude, there you go. We're meeting people in real life, you guys. There's nothing.
You guys are stuck with me. You're not getting rid of me. So I'm going to keep coming up with my crazy ideas.
Well, you're stuck with me, dude. So, yeah, we have two stalkers stalking each other. I don't know how that works psychologically, but it sounds pretty messed up. But let's go anyway. You know what I'm saying?
No, you guys, for the whole adoption in the third world, it's funny. I was talking with one of my friends about this. The high net worth guy who dismissed me, actually, I finally kind of browbeat him into letting me explain THORChain. He's like, oh, okay. So like a huge deal there, just like you talked about with the hyperinflation and also the nationalization. If you ever see the movie Blow, and it's not a nice story, these two cocaine dealers put all their money, I think it was in Panama, but then the government changes and they swipe all the money in the banks from everyone. Well, if you can build an instrument for governments on Ruggiero where they can invest their money in, say, a basket of stable coins, or one thing, even with the inflation of the dollar, if you start minting even commodity pegged things like gold and oil and wheat or something, if people are just sick of the currencies, and then you could give them a little bit of yield on that, like have it sit in a pool if they keep it above a certain amount, like $5,000. So now you get some VaultISigs, you have them keep it at home. Okay, they go to their little business, this vendor, they have a laptop with mug money. For those of you who don't know, like in New York, they used to call it mug money. If you got mugged and you didn't have something to give the mugger, they might kill you. So the kids would have $1 or $2 just to give up. So they have like a few hundred or $1,000 sitting in this laptop in a little account, but it's not linked to the Ruggiero one at home. But what happens is every day they go home, now they deposit it in this account, okay? And the transaction fees are cheaper. If it's, banks give you almost nothing if you keep your cash in them. So even a little bit of yield to be part of a pool, now you give better yield. It's cheaper transactions. And with the shielding and the privacy coins, they don't have to worry about it getting confiscated, or I guess you'd have to say it's confiscation resistant. I mean, if they're captured and tortured, but it's much harder for the government to swipe their money. But also it's now hyperinflation protected. You set up an easy to use interface and instrument like that, and maybe they want to invest it in Swiss franc backed stable coins or whatever. That would be so appealing to people in places like, we use the same, we're like, what about Nigeria or places in Latin America? And I'm like, holy shit, with some of the speakers we've had come on here and Mocha, we're plugged into those places. You build that instrument for the front end app like Mocha, and I could see it spreading like wildfire. And then once it, like Kenton said, once it spreads through the third world, maybe first world people look at that and go, wait a minute, how come they're earning more yield, getting cheaper fees? Well, we want to start giving promotions to people who pay in crypto. And, I could see that spreading so fast, but in the third world, it spreads because of necessity. And that's where it's going to get the fastest adoption. It was almost literally the same conversation, but I was just kind of imagining what the instrument might look like that you would build for them to make it appealing to do it with us. I mean, what do you think about something like that?
So much potential there. It's hard. I mean, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, a million things like that could be built on Ruggiero now. I don't want to go on and on, but I just love talking to you guys. I'm sorry.
No, it's good, brother.
I agree with your sentiment about the global south and the unbanked. Like that's always been my I'm a romantic at heart. I always cheer for the underdog, but even practically, I've always thought that it's the global south who are going to adopt crypto because they need it, and that's going to get it going. And then, like you said, these apps or protocols or whatever are going to succeed, and people in the West will see them like, what's going on? Oh, people are actually using this. Wow, cool. And they'll get on board from like an investment point of view. So that was, I don't know if you heard I did a space with Ray Youssef a few weeks ago, and he's behind No Ones, which is like huge in Africa. And it's like a peer-to-peer. Are you?
Well, I heard this space and I was like, God, I love this guy. He was like living out of his car or something at one point, and I'm like, he's the type of guy we need to connect, build these front ends. Sorry.
No, you're good. He's legit. I'm like, I saw him speak at a Bitcoin conference a few years ago. I'm like, man, this guy's for real. And I kind of started following him. I'm like, man, I love his vibe and energy. And he's like, he calls himself, he's the war chief now. And I believe him. Like if in person, he's very, he's got a real presence. He's a big guy, but he's kind of got that, I want to make sure I say this respectfully, almost like a teddy bear feel. Like, you see big guys and you think, oh, they can be, dangerous, whatever. But he seems like he's a kind of guy who's full of love. And, but he's got that, but like not weak. Like he's got this real strong, strength, loving vibe about him. And anyway, super, super interesting guy. And according to him, like crypto is popping off in Nigeria, and it's all like underground basically. And I don't know if you've seen him recently. He's been crapping on Binance, and really Binance rubbed him the wrong way a few years ago because they they started like debanking people in Africa and leaving people high and dry. And that was part of his push for getting No One's going. And but he's living like he's promoting like the real cypherpunk crypto ideals, like peer-to-peer privacy, all that good stuff. And so he's big in Monero right now, and And so I'm like, man, we get Monero on THORChain, and I know Ray's gonna get behind THORChain. Like he's been working with the Unstoppable devs, Unstoppable Wallet, and those are the devs that are building the THORChain front end. And so like Ray is well aware of THORChain and what we're doing. And that was part of my reason for my space with him, is to help introduce him to THORChain and, you know, extend that, start building that bridge. But I mean, if there's anybody that can get THORChain into the global south, it's him. You know, so if we deliver on Monero, I mean, he's got to integrate it, THORChain, into no one's, and then that starts getting us into the global south. You know, the people really that need it and are using it. So, so fingers crossed for that all plays out. And but yeah, man, that's always been my view. The global south is where we're gonna get. You know, if people there are honestly using it, then it was like that saying, if criminals use it, you know it works. Well, if the global south uses it, you know it works, right? You know this is the real tech, right? So if we get the global south using THORChain, I'm like, we've won. And then it's just basically we just wait, right, for everything to grow on top of it.
Do you think maybe we should do another? We got to do another space with that guy, Kenton. Maybe,
Yeah.
reach out.
Oh man, I felt so bad that like I had to cut it short. I had to go. I was catching a flight, and
I know, no big deal. It ended okay though.
Well, I only booked him. I mean, I never really talked to him. I just booked a time for an hour, and thinking like, oh, he's a busy guy, right? I don't want to like have a 3-hour space, right? Like, so I just when I booked him, lack of a better term, like I just sent him a meeting invite for an hour, and he accepted that. So I'm like, okay, that'll be. I want to respect his time, right, and keep it to an hour. But then I shouldn't have made plans like that. So right afterwards, left time for us to go over. But I was, you know, I'm a busy guy too, you guys. You know, I gotta do my things too, guys. But so yeah, next time I'll definitely do it so that we can go as long as he wants. And yeah, but it was yeah, I was pretty excited to talk to him actually, because I feel like, you know, the people in crypto it's so watered down. You know, it's just nice to talk to people who are like in it for the right reasons, you know, and have been doing it for a long time and are actually building and actually delivering. Like, you know, a lot of people talk to talk, but they don't do anything, right? And there's a lot of people doing stuff in crypto, but really they're just closeted TradFi people, right? They don't really care about freedom. So it's cool to chat with someone who truly does believe and care about freedom and is building at the same time. Like those are rare individuals. So yeah, I'd love to have him on again.
Yeah, dude, let's go in his DMs. Let's hopefully we can schedule him soon. I'd love it, you know. That'd be sweet. And you know, it's funny. I love what Scott, said about multi-sig and having this redundancy where you have like this money that's allocated in certain spots. So if like you like mug money, I guess was said, right? Like it's so funny that there's a lot of crypto that are doing the same thing, like Edge Wallet. I don't know what it's called. I think it's called distress mode or something. But like you have a hot wallet and you type in a PIN code, or you do a fingerprint or something like that. They have the ability where you type in a special PIN code, or maybe it's a fingerprint on another hand, but it goes to a separate wallet with a with a different amount of assets that you can surrender right there, and then you can conceal the majority of your wealth. So there's just so many innovative things coming like that. That's so cool. And particularly for the global south, as you say, Kenton, the safer we can make it, the more defensive primitives we can design, the better. Are you trying to say something, Scott?
Oh, sorry, I hit it on accident.
No worries.
Well, actually, but yet going with that, just the building these instruments, that the exciting thing, I say instruments because in finance they always talk about like an ETF as a financial instrument, but especially if we're even a little bit beating banks, meaning the crypto if it's sitting in like a basket of stable coins, or some kind of tether coins, that if we're offering even a little more yield and it's just a little cheaper on the transaction fees, you know, right there, a business is going to start going to that to default in some of these places where there's lots of crypto business they're doing anyway, just because it's the better deal. So that plus the privacy makes it that much sexier than a bank.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I agree. Okay, dang, we're going on 3 hours, you guys. Maybe we should wrap it here. What do you guys think? This has been a great space, man. This has been awesome. I love these spaces. I feel like we covered so much ground. And again, anyone can come up and request if you have something to say. But man, I think we did pretty well. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think we've done good. I'm good to wrap it up. And Scott, unless you have anything else you want to add or say.
No, thank you again, you guys. I feel like a celebrity up here actually being able to talk in this space.
Well, dude, you're talking to billionaires apparently, so you know, maybe you're the celebrity. You know what I'm saying? So you can hang out whenever you want, bro. Okay.
Well, there's one, and then a high net worth friend. Yeah, I kind of stumbled on those friendships accidentally, but yeah, they're awesome to talk to, and they actually love having conversations like this, like kicking around ideas, you know, because they love to start businesses. So yeah, it's no, you guys are as much fun as any of them. Just trust me. I'm loving all these conversations you let me come on here and have with you.
Yeah.
Well, I have a business idea for them. Like they should, and Mocha may not want to hear this, but like I think Mocha is really onto something with their point of sale app and building privacy into it and stuff. I gotta think that that's gonna be like there's gonna be lots of point of sale apps like that, right? Or maybe there's gonna be one that really succeeds. There's gotta be an opportunity there for entrepreneurs to run with it. So I don't know if your friends have any interest there, but I got to think that there's got to be people licking their chops to figure that out.
There is, and unfortunately, mine like one is in hotels, and then the other is he has a trucking company, but he comes from a family that's in shipping, so they're different kind of different wheelhouses. But I know one of them, he's actually already bought a little, RUNE and some Rujira and some cacao. And he says, as you guys roll out stuff, he's going to continue buying that. I got him excited about it. So I was able to do that. But they're like starting little businesses in their own kind of wheelhouse that they're familiar with. So I don't know if I could get them to come over. I'll throw it around, but that's kind of what my gut says.
Well, I assume billionaires know other billionaires. So if he's not shy, we don't have to reveal who he is or anything. But if he wants to come on the space and talk with us and we can chat and answer questions, that might be a decent activity. I'm sure Kenton would love to speak with him as well as I. So maybe if everyone wants to hop on a space or listen to these recordings, at least, man, we're here. So
okay, I'll talk to them. He's really shy. He's for obvious reasons, super private. I mean, I used to work out next to him at the gym, and he'd come in a t-shirt and jeans or in shorts, and you never know. Like he's very incognito. So my gut says no, but yeah, I'll throw it at it. He does, yeah.
No pressure.
Yeah.
People with real money don't want you to know they have it, right? People that don't have much money want you to think they're rich.
So true.
So yeah. The shipping guy, isn't it? I want to say, wasn't it shipping companies in Southeast Asia that were they were using stable coins? That's a lot of the stablecoin usage was actually happening with cross-border payments because it was honestly just cheaper for them to do wire transfers and stuff like that. So I'm, if you're a shipping guy, he'd be doing lots of cross-border transactions, I imagine. And I wonder if it'd just be simply cheaper and easier for him to use stable coins. And then that might be that starts getting him into what else can he do with stable coins? And then he starts going down that route.
I could put a bug in his ear. I know he is doing a lot of trucking. Like you said, he's setting up a trucking company that's growing and stuff. And he's Korean, so I think they're plugged into some of the cargo ship. It may be trucking across Korea too, more than ships, more than cross border. But I'll ask. Yeah, there's no reason I can't just kind of put a bug in their ear and see what they say. The worst they say is, no, I'll just stay on the sidelines. But yeah, I have no problem asking. I'm not shy, as you know.
Or if they
So
have questions and you want to
yeah,
forward questions from them, if they have specific interests, feel free and be the liaison. And would love to anything, right? Those are the kind of
well, I
people
get
we want to
it.
impress. That's awesome.
For sure. I mean, just I'll see. I'll throw it out there, and if not, then
No
hey,
pressure,
I
bro.
throw it
Yeah,
out there.
no big
Yeah,
deal.
I
No
have no
pressure.
problem talking to people. I'm always out there, so it's fine, you guys. But yeah, it's all good. All right, I'll remute myself and let you guys talk.
Oh no, we're about ready to wrap. Thank you, Scott, for promoting THORChain, especially to individuals, because this technology can really help them, whether they make their own point of sale application or adopt one that's already made. I mean, that's the thing, is like what we're building makes businesses, like, helps them. They're saving margin, right? And there's just so many things. Or we have a consulting firm I know on the XRP side. They want memless live, so they can access the meme coins on XRP, so that their customers, they get a discount if they hold some meme coins on their consulting service. Like, there's so many things to build. It's so wild. Okay. Kenton, do you have anything else before we wrap?
No, it's great. I think we should wrap it up. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Thank you. Okay. There. I thought I rubbed for a second. Okay. Thank you guys so much. It's been a great space. Let's go ahead and wrap it up here. Just a reminder, guys, next week on November 1st, we're going to have Redacted joining. We're going to be breaking down the privacy thing. That's going to be a really good one. November 8th, we have Maya Protocol with Alex. We're going to be doing that as well. We're going to be trying getting more spaces, but right now we have the next 2 weeks locked in. If you guys have any topic suggestions or anything like that, please tag Kenton or myself. And we would love to reach out. There are so many things we got to talk to. Again, shout out to HoudiniSwap for joining. That was absolutely a killer space. We love them. Make sure to follow them and respect them for their time. They did a really good service by showing up here today. And I sincerely hope they reach out to Rajira and pay attention to the XMR swaps that are going to be coming. Special shout out to the TC intern for always sticking it out. He hosts these spaces and he sacrifices his time, and we really appreciate you as well. I know often it can probably be boring just listening to people talk, but you are not forgotten. We really appreciate you, man. So thank you again. With that, guys, we're going to wrap the space up. Everyone has a great remainder of their weekend. We will see you next Thursday for Thursday with Chad Barraford. See you then next Saturday. Have a good one, you guys. Bye-bye.